So right after that, we're going to have a moment of silence for the shooting victims in the school and also the remembrance for Richard Farringer, who was the Board of Commissioner President at one time, and he was on the board for a long time. So thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Oh, I just made a big.
Okay. Do we do the approval first and then?
HUD statement.
Oh, well, I have too much going on. I have to think and everything. Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunities based on protected characteristics. The township, in its land use decisions, does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. Now we can do,
You can do the minutes.
okay. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes of the August 12th regular meeting?
I'll make that motion. Warren.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Scarfaro.
Anybody have anything to add or subtract from that? What? And is it saying you weren't?
Minutes reflect her as absent.
Okay, well, say that so it's recorded.
I was here in August.
Okay. All righty. Mr. Secretary, can you please poll the board?
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarfaro,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelagian,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Attia is a yes, President Sloniker.
Aye.
Minutes past 7-0.
Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is a conditional use index number 2049-24A, proposed Tractor Supply Company store, 4500 Cameron Valley Parkway, Suite 400, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28211, location at 3581 West Columbia Street, Whitehall, PA 18052, PIN 548-9839-08300. The subject property is located in the C2A Local Commercial District Zoning District. Applicant is requesting conditional use approval pursuant to Section 27-79D3 of the Whitehall Township zoning ordinance to permit recreational vehicle sales at this location. Is there somebody here from Tractor Supply?
If I may, Mr. Soniker, just begin, before they begin? Okay, thank you. So, before you do that, Mr. Gittinger, I'm going to ask first in the room, are there any objectors to this application present? Okay. Seeing none, I'll ask that we swear in anyone who's going to testify.
Please raise your right hand. Plan to testify.
Wendy.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Township will call Chris Gittinger as its witness regarding this matter. Mr. Gittinger, will you please state your name and business address for the record?
Chris Gittinger, I'm the zoning and code enforcement officer for Whitehall Township, 3219 MacArthur Road, Whitehall, PA 18052.
In preparation for this hearing, did you ensure that the hearing was advertised and the property was posted?
Yes.
And can you please explain what you did?
Township Exhibit Number 1 would be the notice which we prepared about tonight's hearing. It was published in the East Penn Press, Parkland Press, Whitehall Copley Press on August 22nd and August the 29th. Exhibit Number 2 is my memo to the Whitehall Township Planning Commission, simply explaining that this is a conditional use pursuant to that section of the zoning ordinance. Township Exhibit Number 3 is a letter from Lee Rackus, the Bureau Chief of Planning, Zoning, and Development, confirming that the Whitehall Township Planning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the conditional use at their meeting on August 21, 2024. I can state for the record that I posted a copy of the notice, Exhibit Number 1, at the property on Friday, August the 30th, and I mailed notice to the property owners owning property within 200 feet of the perimeter of this property on August the 26th of 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Gittinger. I have no further questions for him. I'll allow the applicant to introduce themselves, and if you have any questions, please feel free.
My name's David Schutte, the law firm of Troutman Pepper Hamilton Sanders, LLP. With me this evening is Mark McGrecky of Pantera, who's a civil engineer for the project. And with me also is Wendy Fulton of the Keith Corporation, who is a development manager.
Do you have any questions for Mr.?
I have no questions.
Okay, just so we can allow him
Yep.
to
We're gonna sit down.
sit down.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, my name's David Schutte, and we represent TKC 287, which is what all the Roman numerals are, LLC. And here this evening to request a conditional use approval for the sales of recreational vehicles. As part of the proposed retail use of the subject property at 3581 West Columbia Street. It's a vacant, currently a vacant 4.5 acre lot in the C2A local commercial zoning district. The applicant is currently the fee simple owner of the subject property. The deed to the property is Exhibit A, Exhibit 1 of the exhibit booklet I provided to you. Exhibit 2 of the exhibit booklet shows a letter of credit, it's a letter of intent to lease the subject property to Tractor Supply Company for use as a retail store. One of the product lines that Tractor Supply Company regularly sells is its ATVs and UTVs on its retail properties and other recreational vehicles. The vehicles will be displayed outdoors. Okay, in September of 2023, the applicant received dimensional relief from the zoning hearing board related to the total floor area of the property, of the store itself, as well as the height of the fences around the store. And then more recently, last month, the Township Zoning Hearing Board granted a variance to allow for veterinary services as part of the retail services being provided at the property. Tonight, the instant relief, which is a conditional use, is to allow for the sale of the recreational vehicles at the subject property. under section 27-79D3 of the zoning ordinance. Such use is permitted only by conditional use in the CA2 zoning district. After review of the zoning ordinance, it was revealed that there are no specific conditional use approval criteria for this use. Accordingly, the applicant only needs to be subject to the subjective criteria in section 2745 of the zoning ordinance. And before I go much further, I'm going to ask Mark to just maybe give a quick overview of the plan, which is a copy of the plan is attached as Exhibit 6 in the exhibit booklet, and a larger version of it's down here.
Sure, that's fine. Yes, briefly, just to orient you to the plan, we do,
What's your name?
I'm sorry, Mark McGrecky, MAGRECKI. I'm good? All right. We have one entrance shown off of Columbia Street there. The property is located essentially at the intersection of Columbia Street and MacArthur. And for all intents and purposes, you can see the outlined areas in red are the outdoor display areas. Not saying that the vehicles will be located in all of these areas, it's just that it could be located in any of these areas, if you're familiar with how they merchandise. So we do have some areas adjacent to the main store. The store there is the white space on the page, I guess you will, is about 22,000 square feet, and we have 84 parking spaces proposed and 82 are required. I don't know if you need more background information than that, but I'm glad to answer any other questions.
Okay. Mark, and you're familiar with the township zoning ordinance,
Yes,
and are you familiar with the township's comprehensive plan?
yes,
And are you familiar with the surrounding vicinity of the project?
yes,
Okay. Is the sale of recreational vehicles at this site, is it in accordance with the existing comprehensive plan and the spirit, intent, and purpose of the zoning ordinance?
yes,
Is it in the best interest of the township?
I would say yes.
Okay. Is the sale of recreational vehicles suitable for the chosen site?
Yes,
Okay. Is the sale of recreational vehicles in the outdoor storage, in the outdoor sales areas designed and to be maintained and used to be in harmony with the adjacent properties in the immediate vicinity?
yes,
Okay. Does the sale of recreational vehicles permit the logical, efficient, safe, and economic extension of public services and facilities? Actually, will the sale even use any public services or
and
facilities?
it really shouldn't use any.
Okay. Does the proposed use substantially increase traffic congestion on the streets?
No,
Does it increase danger of fire or panic or otherwise endanger public safety?
no,
Does it overcrowd the land or create an undue concentration of population?
no,
Does it impair an adequate supply of light or air to adjacent properties?
no,
Does it adversely affect the comprehensive plan of the township?
no,
Does it unduly burden water, sewer, park, school, or other public facilities?
no,
Does it endanger the safety of persons or property by improper location or design of the facilities or ingress or egress?
no,
Does it in any way adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare or general?
not in my opinion, no.
Okay. To your knowledge, does it violate any federal, state law, statute, rule, directive, or regulation?
No,
And does the sale of the recreational vehicles on this property interfere or encroach upon any wetlands or floodplains?
no,
Interfere or what? Interfere?
Interfere or encroach upon any wetlands or floodplains?
no.
Okay. And is it inconsistent with the surrounding zoning?
Inconsistent?
Yes, it's inconsistent.
Is not inconsistent.
And is it inconsistent with any of the surrounding uses?
No,
Okay. And is it detrimental to the appropriate use of any adjacent property?
no.
Okay. Just have Wendy testify to one thing real quickly here. Wendy, can you state your name, for the record?
Wendy Fulton, Fultun.
Wendy, any of the factual statements that I made during the presentation, were they true and correct?
Yes,
And do you adopt them as your testimony on behalf of the applicant?
yes.
I have no further questions. I move for the admission of exhibits 1 through 6.
Before you move to the admission, I just have one question, if you can, to help with the record. Can you have one of your witnesses define for the record what a recreational vehicle is?
Sure. Wendy, do you want to do that?
In what you intended for this application?
This is what was said in the...
They're mainly like a four-wheeler, ATV, all-terrain vehicle. You could also have a scooter, the utility vehicles that are similar in appearance to like a golf cart. They have a little covering over them, but it's considered an ATV, an all-terrain vehicle. They do some paddle boats, scooters, go-karts, and mini bikes, I think. Oh, and trailers are the recreational vehicles as well. Okay. And the trailers we sell, like the recreational vehicles are not RVs, like camping trailers. They are, the ATV motorized type vehicles are a trailer like a landscaper would use a flatbed or a white box trailer.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that the record is clear when I am writing the opinion.
Thank you.
There was a request, and I would ask, well, there's a request by the applicant to admit their exhibits. Is there any objection from the board? I'd ask that there be a motion to accept and second. And
Motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
A second?
I'll second that.
It does not need to be a roll call vote.
No.
It can just be a voice vote.
Okay. Do I hear ayes or nays?
No questions.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
This is just on whether their exhibits should be admitted.
What, yeah, okay. So, everybody okay with their exhibits?
Aye.
Aye? Okay.
I believe there was a question from Mr. Snyder.
These are two simple ones for clarification purposes. In reading through your exhibits, I just want to be clear that I understand that the 16-foot fence thing has been removed from the property.
No, that was granted by the zoning hearing board. There was another request that was removed at that zoning hearing last September, having to do with, I believe, the barriers in the parking lot, I think it was.
So the reason I'm asking the
Yeah.
question is because I'm confused of what fence and what section. So on your plan, you showed a 16-foot fence one place, and I think there's another fence around the detention pond that I couldn't find on the plan that called out the height. So you did get a variance for the 16-foot?
Only as it relates to what we could call the fenced outdoor display area, which is the rectangular area outlined in red.
That's right.
That's behind the fence that's directly attached to the building. The fencing out in front around the detention basin would not be 16 feet. I think it's a 4-foot high fence. So
And I
it's
can do
only
those
as it
questions
applies to the the fencing around the fenced outdoor
Okay.
display.
Jack, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to, for those who didn't notice, we have a court reporter here tonight, and it's very difficult for him unless we're very careful that only one person is speaking at a time.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask that everybody try and make sure we only have one person speaking at a time. Thank you.
Okay. Second question is approximately how many vehicles that you'll be using on the site between the recreational, I'm going to use a company that I'm familiar with, Polaris-type vehicles, or you see them at Home Depot, those types of vehicles. Those are also ATVs. So how many, is it going to be like I don't want to say new car arrangement, but is it going to be 10, 15, 50? What is the question?
No, probably the item that we would have the most quantity of are the trailers themselves, the flatbed type trailers, and you might have 10 to 20 of those on site. Usually the ATV, like four-wheeler type, or the scooters or mini bikes, they have like a handful, 4 or 5 at a time. They just don't have the display area to have 20 of all of those.
So the Polaris-sized vehicle, which is almost like a little pickup truck?
Yes.
Will you be, is that also part of the thing as well?
It potentially could be. They would only have like one or two of those.
Because I just passed a place and they had like 30 of them in their parking lot, that's why I'm asking. And when you,
And they are restricted to these display areas, so you physically can only
okay.
fit what you, so there would not be in the parking spaces, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And when you use the term trailers, they have well, I'll call it a contractor's trailer. It's a box walk-in type trailer. Are they going to be
Yes.
there as well?
Yes.
So it's a combination of the ATV trailers and the box trailer for the sake of
Yes.
discussion. Thank you.
I have a question.
No, they don't test drive.
No.
They're just, the only time they would be is if just to relocate them on the site or to move them into a vehicle that, when they're purchased.
So there would be no one, if they purchased one, they would not be able to test it on the property? Okay,
No.
thank you.
That's all the questions from the board then, correct?
Fine.
No other.
No other questions from the board? There are no objectors here tonight. Are there any individuals in the audience who would like to ask questions? There is one individual. You'll need to come forward, please. Come forward, please.
Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to.
go ahead.
And
Hi.
before you start, you'll need to be sworn in, anyone. This is a hearing, so you'll have to raise your right hand, and the court reporter will.
Hi.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Andrea Hoagland, 51 Kemet Avenue, Whitehall, Pennsylvania.
It's Andrea, Andrea?
Yes, sir.
What would you like to say?
I just wanted to ask, I don't know if this is a zoning question or not, but we have a problem in the township. We just bought these BMW bikes to chase down ATVs and stuff. Very dangerous and ridiculous. But are you gonna have like maybe something like a post or something that is built into your structure that you can run maybe a chain or something through the ATVs, the things of that nature? Because again, we seem to have such a bad problem with the ATV running through our town that we had to buy expensive BMW bikes to chase them down. So is there any way that you can maybe have a secure, you know how you have like posts that are built into the ground and stuff like that, and maybe run a chain or something through the vehicle so nobody just comes and steals your vehicles?
So that's your question. So that was my question. You're talking about the protection and to prevent theft.
Theft.
That everything on these sidewalk areas is tied into the security system.
So there'd be a chain or something?
There's
thing-
something that, and if someone did attempt to steal it, it would set off the,
No, do you have a chain
So
running
I'm
through
sorry,
the
you,
wheels?
No.
excuse me. Because it's a hearing, so once you ask a question, you need to allow
I'm
her.
sorry, I'm not a
No,
lawyer. I
no,
don't
that's
know.
fine. I'm trying, you need to let her answer, and then if there's a follow-up question, you can ask it after.
there will, the only thing connecting the vehicles and tying them into the security system are the security alarm cables.
Okay. Will they be attached to like something permanent? So I can't just rip this now. You got the sound going off, but I'm already down the street in Bethlehem, Allentown, East End, or 22. You know,
I can't
you know what I'm
speak-
saying?
I do, but I can't speak to the exact, all of the protection methods that
Okay.
Tractor Supply may or may not, I don't know exactly.
But could that be something that somebody could look into, maybe another $100 or $200? Again, instead of waiting for people to take advantage of you and steal your property. I know you're insured, but I'm just thinking about safety-wise and all, if somebody takes your vehicles from you.
I can definitely present it to them. The only thing I can speak to is I know they are all connected, so if
Okay.
an attempt is made, it does notify
Thank you, ma'am.
the police. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Does the applicant have any additional evidence?
We have no additional evidence or questions, but open the floor to anything
I
else.
think, are there additional questions from the board based on
I
that?
do have one general question. I know the chief made reference to location of a fire hydrant relative to display areas. Has that been resolved?
Yes, we worked that out.
All right, that's all I have.
You rest your case then.
Rest my case, yes.
With that, unless there's something else from the board, we'll close the hearing. Hearing nothing, thank you. We can conclude the hearing. As is common with conditional use, we have 45 days from today to render a decision and issue an opinion. So you can proceed now to vote if you'd like, or we could do it at next month's hearing. If someone wants to proceed now, you could make a motion to approve or reject the application with any reasonable conditions. It is often helpful if there are any conditions you think you want to impose to do it while the applicant is present.
What is the wish of the board tonight, or do you want to wait until next regular meeting to approve?
Tonight.
What do we got? Right now? Okay. It's our opinion that we're going to vote on it tonight.
Someone needs to
Make
make
a
a motion to approve or deny and add any conditions.
Motion to approve Index 2049-24A, proposed Tractor Supply Company store to be located at 3581 West Columbia Street, Whitehall, PA 18052, for the conditional use with one condition that no vehicles will be tested on the site per applicant's testimony this evening.
I second that.
Barry, you want to poll the board, please?
Commissioner Peligian?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder was the second, right?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder? Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Tia is a yes. Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
President Sloniker?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Your decision within the time.
We'll wait till they, what?
It'll be in the minutes, but if you took it, it's fine.
Having-
And if you can get me the transcript as soon as possible. I've got,
But just a lot of, there's a whole lot of stuff, that's why people.
if you can copy me directly, that's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, as a matter of record, I want to announce that we had an executive session after our workshop meeting last Monday discussing personnel items. And now we're going to have, oh, it's Tuesday, I'm sorry, I'm used to Mondays. Mr. Mayor would like to do a proclamation.
I have a proclamation to read. The Township of Whitehall Proclamation, Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, Suicide Awareness Day. Whereas suicide is a public health concern, and whereas in the state of Pennsylvania, one person dies by suicide every 5 hours, making it the third leading cause of death for ages 10 to 34, and the fourth leading cause of death for ages 35 to 44. And whereas nearly 5.5 million people in the United States have lost a loved one to suicide, and whereas each member of our community is valued and irreplaceable, and whereas talking openly about stress and psychological health builds trust, reduces barriers to care, and enables early intervention, and whereas local and statewide suicide prevention efforts should be developed and encouraged to the maximum extent possible, and now, therefore, be it resolved, the Township of Whitehall Commissioners and Mayor do hereby proclaim September 2024 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, and September 10th, 2024 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month in the Township of Whitehall, Pennsylvania. In witness, whereas I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Township of Whitehall, Pennsylvania to be affixed hereto this 9th day of September 2024. Joseph J. Marks, Jr., Mayor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next, we'll have courtesy of the floor. The comments for non-agenda items will be strictly monitored to no more than 3 minutes per person. Can you have the first person there?
First on the list is Miss Lorianne Fainall.
For the microphone, say your name and address, please.
Lorianne Fainall, 3107 North 3rd Street, Whitehall. First, on a positive note, I'm glad to see, Joe, you kept your promise. You got those doors to be electronic. That's very important for any constituent that comes here to speak. So good on you for that. However, I'm going to discuss this issue with the tax office. Most constituents are frustrated what's going on. And, you know, seeing the social media posts that have been circulating and people that made posts that weren't authorized to make posts, crossing boundaries, saying when an employee is out, when they're sick, whatever the reason is, we have to be mindful. I understand there's employees here. We have to watch that. But I'm going to tell you about one of my experiences with a tax clerk in that office that's still here today, nameless, obviously, to be respectful. I came here in 2022 to pay my taxes in cash, and I have an email that I sent. I actually have 2 emails that I sent regarding a clerk that's misbehaving in that office. And I've had a first-hand experience with that clerk. You know, we sit here and we wonder why people are coming in and not doing their jobs. How much longer do you keep people here that don't want to do their jobs? I mean, simple stuff. We have to be addressing that. And I don't know what the procedures with deputy mayor or whoever handles that. We got to get this under control. If there's a pattern of call-offs when you know someone's going to be out sick, if you know there's a pattern when they get ticked off at each other, they're going to call out. This has to stop. Because you know who suffers? The taxpayers do. And we look like idiots. So we need to stand up and do what's right. If we got a clean house, then we clean house. Jack Myers, I just have a question for you, please. I sent you a right to know on September 4th regarding the social media policy for an elected official. Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify on public record. Thank you.
Next person.
Next is Joni Tedesco.
I gotta sit my back. Good evening, Mayor Marks,
Name and address, please.
Commissioners. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm
It's
old.
for the record.
I'm old. You have to forgive me.
I'm older than you, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Joni Tedesco, 424 4th Street in Whitehall. Am I good to go? Okay. Good evening, Mayor Marks, Commissioners, and Treasurer Korn. I come before you to ask a few questions. First of all, I know I'm limited to 3 minutes, but are your answers to my questions going to take up any of that 3 minutes?
I don't know if there's going to be any answers. If
Okay.
If it's something on personnel, we're not going to talk about it. Plus, there's supposedly impending legal action. We're not going to make any comments on that. So you might be asking questions that we can't answer.
Gotcha. Okay, number 1, regarding the statement posted on the main doors to the municipal building and the township tax office windows, no one was asking for any confidential information regarding employees. We have a right to know who wrote the unprofessional, undated, and unsigned statement and who authorized the posting of it. According to President Sloniker, he had no knowledge of such because, as he said, he doesn't do social media. The signs were on the door. Therefore, whoever wrote this statement implicated the commissioners. In addition, Commissioner Ken Snyder had the audacity to call Mrs. Corrin and suggest that she take a 2-month leave. What right did you have to do that? Number 2, whoever wrote the statement stated that, and I quote unquote, "The township has taken all appropriate steps to address concerns regarding the tax office and will continue to support township employees and address all appropriately raised concerns." But what about the elected treasurer? What have you done to help her run her office? She sneakily gets locked out of being able to access other departments
and now administrative meetings. This, in my opinion, is political and personal vendetta against Mrs. Corrin. What power does the treasurer have to appoint such other employees as determines are required to perform her job functions? How is she supposed to appoint any of her own employees to assist? I'm almost done.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, 3 minutes, and we're going to go by that. That way, nobody gets extra, nobody gets less, 3 minutes, period.
It was my last comment.
Again, thank you.
Well, can you answer any of my questions?
No. Again, what did I say in the beginning? That, hey, there's possible legal action going to be taken, and we don't talk about anybody's and personnel.
Okay, well, just for the record then.
And again, thank you very much.
Just for the record, Mr. Sloniger, at least the township taxpayers know that there's something rotten in Denmark going on in this township.
Next up is Ms. Dawn
Amen.
Saganowicz.
And here, we the people have had enough.
Ms. Saganowicz, can you see this? I can't see it from my angle, so I just want to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Just making sure.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Dawn Saganowicz, 3123 Soda Lane, Whitehall. My first question is in response to your statement in the unsigned and undated letter on township stationery that reads, and I quote, "Rest assured the township has taken all appropriate steps to address concerns regarding the tax office and will continue to support township employees and address all appropriately raised concerns." End of quote. My first question is going to be addressed to Mayor Marks, since Commissioner Sloniker on last Tuesday's workshop, you denied knowing anything about this letter, which I attended that meeting. Mayor Marks, what were those steps that you clearly said that you took the appropriate steps?
I can clarify that. That letter,
Just a minute. I don't want to eat into my time.
Okay.
So if you want to
okay.
answer those questions after and jot things down. My second question is, if the tax office employees are township employees and not accountable to the treasurer, but the employees are accountable to you, the mayor, what are you doing about the problem in the tax office? This seems dysfunctional because the employees are not accountable to the treasurer. To quote you, Mr. Mayor, from the Morning Call article dated September 4th, you said, and I quote, "It's her office. How she runs that office is none of my business," unquote. So what are you doing about this? You are giving mixed messages and adding to the dysfunction. People have been recalled for things like this. The question I have about the third paragraph of this letter, where you state the township treasurer has the authority under your home rule charter to hire employees, how will Tina Corrin, our elected treasurer, pay them? Have you funded these positions, Mayor Marks? Does this not yet contradict your own quote to the Morning Call on September 4th? In conclusion, explanations to these questions are very important to the taxpayers of this township, just like the taxpayers questioning the exorbitant 88% garbage fee increase. Why were there only 2 haulers that were put in for this? There are other haulers out there that are new haulers and could have handled this at a lower price. We, the taxpayers, look forward to your thorough reply of these questions. Thank you.
I can address 2 of your questions. It was at my discretion to release that statement. That statement was drafted by our solicitor. I did inform the Board of Commissioners of the statement through an email. And to answer your question about garbage, For legal reasons, I can't answer any of your other questions because there's potential pending litigation. As far as the garbage contract, it was a public bid. It was publicly bid. We had two bidders. One bid was dismissed because there was a mistake made, and we had to accept the single bid, the sole bid. This was a public forum, not within my control. Deputy Mayor Myers and our staff went through the process, the legal process, opened bids, the bids that were accepted. That's the outcome. We only had two bidders. The waste management industry in today's climate had substantial increases. It's not only Whitehall Township, it is nationwide.
I understand, but then why not get more than two? Did you reach
There-
out to others?
We're not going to get into a discussion. He's answering the questions like you asked.
Okay.
And again,
It's on the agenda.
So,
It'll be discussed by the board.
so because there's litigations, you won't answer anything about what steps you have taken that you put in that letter? Yeah, boy,
sorry. And again,
that's so
everybody-
rude. That's so rude.
oh, it's-
Just so you know,
You know what
you're-
else is rude?
that's very rude.
Somebody keep on talking when they're told they have a thing up here. He asked if you could see it. We reminded you about it, and you just kept going. How is that not rude?
I
But
didn't
when
keep
did,
going.
it's
He
rude?
was talking.
And you could have heard that on the way back to your seat also. You didn't have to keep on commenting.
Next up is Suzanne Barthel.
This is an embarrassment.
Susan Barthol, 3046 South Birch Street. I'm going to talk about the summer concert series over the summer at the Whitehall Parkway. How nice that was. Wonderful. Nice evenings, great music. Friendly people, bring your own chairs. The parking, perfect. Tell you where to go. Thank you. The second thing I'm going to ask is, are we still having the second shredding and electronic recycling on September 28th?
We are not.
We are not.
No.
I went and got more stuff to shred. Okay, thank you. And the next thing I'm going to ask is, people blow through the stop sign in my neighborhood. They don't even slow down. Right through. Someday, child on a bike, senior citizen walking in the neighborhood is going to get hit because these people don't care. Both ways. That stop sign does not apply to them.
This is 7th and Lehigh.
7th and Birch.
Birch.
Right in the neighborhood. I live in an island neighborhood, so you see these cars when I'm walking around the neighborhood. I know who these people are. I don't know them personally, but I know their cars. And then the next thing is, it's kind of trivial, but it's important to me. The street signs at 7th and Birch Street. The signs you can read, the stop signs on the other corner. But the poles are rusty. Could I get spray paint and paint them? And the stop sign, I want to paint orange, so maybe people see it a little bit better.
We can't do that. There's standards by PennDOT, dear.
I cannot do that?
No, you cannot. It would be defacing government.
Talking about the posts.
The
I think.
poles, just the poles. No, the stop sign you say, I went through the poles, they're rusty. I have to drive past them, come into the neighborhood every day. Am I allowed to do that?
I'll close my eyes when I drive by 7th and Birch.
Well, now everybody knows.
I'll look into it. There's reflective things that they have that you can put on the poles.
I've seen them.
And I'll speak to Public Works and we'll discuss it and we'll see what we can do.
Aren't they expensive, those reflective things?
Not really. Not really. And the
Okay,
relative cost of things they're relatively inexpensive.
okay.
I'll look into that.
Okay, I appreciate that
No
because
problem.
Stop sign faded?
it's a problem.
Is a stop sign faded?
No, the stop sign is fine.
Okay,
It's the
that's all.
pole.
All right.
Maybe you can get those lights that flash too. No? Okay. Thank you so much.
Next up is Jerry There we go.
This is probably going to be, oh, I'm sorry, Jerry Bornicki, 4297 Truman Circle, Whitehall. This is probably going to be more of a public service announcement. I was hoping the police chief was going to be here. But I got an email yesterday from an Armand Tang, who basically says he's installed a program on my computer to monitor what I'm doing and is taking pictures of me, and he gave me a QR code to send him $2,000. So, I mean, I'm not worried because some of the things he said here doesn't make sense to me, but, so I'm just saying there's a new type of scam out there that is going around. His name, like I said, his name is Armand, ARMAND, TANG, with an email address at armand43tang@gmail.com. So, I mean, he said, he put a picture of a do not enter sign on the backside of the property. He says, is visiting 4297 Truman Circle a more effective way to get in contact with you? So, you know, to me, that almost sounds like a threat too. So that's why I was hoping the police chief was here, but I'll try to stop by and.
Would you like to give that to me and I can?
Sure.
Is your phone number on there, sir, so I can follow up?
He actually put the name, address, and phone number on there for me. Oh, that's right.
Did I speak to you about a street light recently?
Pardon me?
Were you the gentleman I spoke to about a street light?
No.
Recently? Okay.
It's my name and address
Okay.
and phone number is
Got
at the
it.
bottom of the email.
Yeah, I'll have Chief Marks reach out to you.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm just gonna quickly use that as a plug for our senior center. I know they do some workshops, and one of the workshops they recently did was on scams and things like that. Yeah, yep, so.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Mr. Bruce Charles.
Good evening. Bruce Charles, 76 Madison Lane. I was compelled to attend a township meeting a few years ago by unfavorable news stories published in print and on television. I've since attended meetings regarding some other matters and also last spring regarding the tax office. At that time, my wife went to pay our tax bill and was unable to take our payment as we would have expected. At that time, I voiced my concerns to this board. Now we're experiencing the same issues again. I'm not familiar with the internal personalities and politics of this building, but the township needs to resolve these issues. Everyone here at these tables, the mayor, the board, the tax administrator, they need to work together. It's unacceptable for an employee to indicate that they're not going to take payments or work by themselves. Employees work for their supervisor and the township. The tax office and the union contract need to be modified to allow for blackout periods for time off, cross-training within the township offices, and policies and procedures that document an employee's duties and responsibilities in their respective position. If they're not capable of following these procedures, steps to rectify those deficiencies need to be enacted. My understanding is the township has purchased or will be purchasing software for processing online payments. This expense and the recent expense for the tax agency should entail an evaluation of the need to offset those expenses by reducing headcount in that tax office. If what I've read is true, it's entirely unacceptable and needs to be resolved in a professional manner, what's going on in that tax office. We do not need to incur more expenses defending alleged bickering within this building. Thank you for listening to that portion. And then lastly, on another subject, I'd wish to thank Commissioner Snyder for taking time to visit my property after my recent visits here to this monthly meeting. I appreciate his interest in listening to my concerns. Very much appreciated that he has an open mind and a willingness to listen to my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is David I'm gonna try these names, I'm sorry. David Teshuda? That was you, okay. All right,
You had your turn.
next is Al DeGenero.
We're just here, my colleague and I, with respect to item number 2, and answer any questions if you have.
Mr. Mascaro, you're next. You want me to? Okay.
Same thing.
Yep. Sorry, we got a lot going on up here. Ms. Deb Rosine is next.
Deb Rosine, 4408 North Church Street. Wanted to hold this up. I mean, we all get this. And I don't see her, but I wanted to say thanks to Larissa because I know she's the editor on these and she works so hard. And I thought that this issue was great. The EAC, we all took a look at the article about stormwater and we loved it. We loved that it talked about responsible use of herbicides and pesticides on people's properties as well as native plants as part of landscaping, and that's really what we want to promote in this township is sustainable practices. The other thing that I wanted to say thanks about is this simple little matrix that was put in the back. It's great. It shows all the different meetings that we have going on. And for some people who maybe aren't so literate with computers, you got a great resource here. You can cut it out, you can put it up on your refrigerator, wherever you post your information. Small little things, great improvements, great work. Just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jeff Blue.
Jeff Blue, 1938 Alberta Drive, 28 years this month. We have an issue with the illegal use of marijuana in our neighborhood. Our one neighbor, they like to smoke it on the deck, underneath their deck, in their garage with the door open, and it's a stinkweed smell that permeates into our home. We can't keep our windows open, our sliding doors can't be open. They start early in the morning smoking this. They're minors. They're driving through the neighborhood. They're driving to school, high school. So they're driving through where the kids are waiting for their school buses. The kids in the afternoon riding their bikes, people walking. Called the police several times, but nothing seems to work here. I talked to the father. He said he'd take care of it. Well, that's not happening. I talked to the homeowner. They could care less what's going on there. They just said, call a cop. It's not our problem. So I don't know what else I have to do here. The quality of life is no good because you can't enjoy your house, can't sit outside or anything. So when the police come, the one time the police came, neighbor opened up the sliding door and it just came right out. And I said, well, you can smell it right now. And they said, well, it could be medical marijuana. Well, I don't think you smoke medical marijuana. They could have checked the medical registry to find out, do they really have it? I don't know, can they knock on a door once they smell it? I don't know what to do. And the politicians that are in Pennsylvania, they want to legalize this now. And this will only get worse in the neighborhoods. So are there any laws that this township can write to counteract this stuff? It's bad.
Yeah, what I'll do, sir, is I have your name and address.
Okay.
If you could leave your phone number, I don't want to say it publicly, but
Okay.
if I could get your phone number somehow, I'll talk to Chief Marks in the morning and see what we can do to address your concerns.
Okay.
I just want to put this out there that.
Don't talk into the
656.
microphone.
You're on the mic, you're on the mic.
Don't talk into the microphone, sir.
5930.
They didn't get the
Yeah.
last four.
will say this,
Yeah.
the process is, you have to call the non-emergency number at the
I
county.
do.
They dispatch a police officer.
They-
There has to be probable cause. The police can't just willy-nilly walk up to a residence and make an
What would be
accusation.
probable cause?
Well, yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Dennis Hauer.
Here you get his address.
Name, address, everything you got.
Got me up, 3 minutes?
Teen.
All right. Dennis Hauer, 4866 Heidi Court. Come tonight to speak to you about the tax office. As you know, I am the president of Teamsters Local 773 and represents the workers in this township. So whenever I see something that's screenshotted and sent to me about posts on social media talking about any worker, it gets under my skin. I don't care if you're union or non-union, the people that work in this building, in this township, work their ass off for the residents of this township. I understand that there are some issues that we had somebody out. I haven't seen anything come through our offices that somebody is out without leave, without any kind of leave available to him. I do have a copy of the contract. Treasurer, do you have a copy of this? I brought two, so I'm going to give you one when I leave. I say this I was a commissioner in this township for 8 years, and we handled a lot of difficult issues, and we went through a lot of different conversations. Just looking at President Sloniker, we always didn't see eye to eye. That's just what makes this world go round. But at the end of the day, when there was a tough problem, there's two kinds of leaders. One that sits and points fingers and posts stuff on social media, and another kind of leader that gets behind the desk and figures out what needs to be done. So I'm coming here tonight as the president of the local to offer any assistance I can to resolve this issue so we can get back to doing the business of the township so the residents here can pay their taxes. Whatever you need, I am available. My office is right up the street. So anytime you need me to come over, talk about it. I have 20 years in conflict resolution. Let's get together, let's solve the issue, and move on. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Anthony Kopak.
Anthony Kopak, 3763 Dogwood Drive. Well, I guess I'll jump on the hot topic tonight of the tax office. I don't really know much about it, but from what I read was there was one employee that didn't want to work alone. Is that true? Two were out, but there was one there that could work but didn't want to work alone. Is there any truth to that, what I read?
We're not going to be commenting on anything with the tax office
Oh.
and personnel-wise, because
But
there's possible impending legal action, so we just can't do it, just so you know.
All right, but you remember, we're paying the salaries, so when you don't comment, that's why we get upset.
You realize also that this whole entire board could be sued, and where does that fall? It falls on the taxpayers. We're not trying to go ahead and have any conflict here so that we have to go on action with our attorneys to do this, that, and the other thing and cost more money.
Enough said, let's move on. That brings me to your recycling center. There came a point a couple weeks ago, I loaded up the back of my car with cardboard to drop off at the recycling center. And I get there, the compactor is broken. And I say, well, what do you want me to do with the cardboard? Well, take it home with you. No, I'm sorry, that's not an appropriate answer. You have a 40-yard compactor sitting there, I don't know what you're storing in it, but if your compactor that compacts the cardboard is not working, you need to somehow accept this cardboard and put it aside till you fix your problem with your compactor. You got a 40-yard container sitting there that you're storing stuff in. You could store cardboard in it till you get your equipment fixed. I mean, I don't understand. Then I come back the next week, it's still broken. I had to take my cardboard to Allentown. And you obviously must be getting money from the county, because now it's not just for Whitehall residents there, it's for Lehigh County residents. So, can we come up with an option for the cardboard when your machine's broken, that I don't have to take it back home with me?
Well, the compactor's been fixed.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't fixed for like 2 weeks. You're supposed to provide the service of recycling there when I take my cardboard there, not for me to leave with it again.
Well, I apologize if you were inconvenienced. I wasn't there,
But-
but I was apprised of the situation. We addressed the compactor. I wasn't there. I can't speak for whatever discussion you
Well,
may have.
what do you-
I apologize. The county thing has me a little confused. We don't accept countywide.
It says Lehigh County residents only on the sign now, not just Whitehall. And again, what is the 40-yard compactor sitting off to the side being used for some kind of storage? We could put cardboard in there if your machine's broken.
No, I knew he was getting up. I did interrupt.
Next is Alan Wirebach. I'll pass. Okay. And lastly is Miss Andrea Hoagland.
Oh, somebody leave this?
No, that's to use for the
Oh,
TV
okay.
screen.
Hi, Andrea Hoagland, 51 Kimmett Avenue. Today I'm going to address something. Sunday, the 18th, I was at Sunday the 18th, I came here and paid my tax bill. I noticed a township truck zooming in. I said, ooh, somebody getting overtime on a Sunday. So he comes in, NASCAR couldn't did it faster. Gets the trailer hooked up, makes it to the light, because you know that's a long light. And I'm like, dang, he really wanted to get to this light. He's getting overtime. I'm happy for him. I go down the street. I get down to the Lowe's. I'm at the Lowe's. I'm sitting there. I'm like, whoa, township truck. So the township truck comes into the Lowe's. 3 people get out this township truck with the trailer. And now I'm like, oh, shoot, that's how you got that trailer hooked up so fast. So, of course, I called and left a message on Sunday. It was like 1:15. I was on my way to Pride over in Bethlehem, but I had time to kill. So that was 1:15 on Sunday. August 19th, 8:34 a.m., I got a call from Jeff, Public Works. So Jeff from Public Works said, yeah, I told him, yeah, you can use the truck and the trailer. Okay, fine. Because I know this is policy at our township, because the last guy who cut down the backboards, even though people was using them, because he didn't like the people who were using them, he said the same thing, because I said so. So that is a policy of Whitehall Township leadership to say, I said so. So he tells me he told them they could use this tractor trailer to go and do stuff for a haunted mansion or a haunted yard or whatever y'all do. So I said, okay, cool, fine. You got that approved? You got all the volunteer sheets? Because I volunteer for decades, and every time they vetted me, especially if we was dealing with children. A haunted mansion will be children. They really vet you hard because you're going to be around underage people. So I said to him, we have insurance for y'all to be in these trucks, this public work truck on a Sunday, okay? Then I said, you know what, he was getting a little, so I said, you know what, Jeff, don't even worry about it. We don't even talk about this. Because my thing is here, everything here is a lawsuit. I tried to ask a question. The last guy told me I could be sued because I recorded a recorded line of a township. That was the second phone call. He told me to call, you know. Anyway, I don't understand. I volunteer all these years. We never use vehicles. We never use the equipment. We never use, because insurance-wise, okay, it's very hard to get 3 people insured jumping out that truck. The truck was left unopened. They had the windows all wound down. They didn't lock and secure the truck when they got out of it. You know, I have pictures. You know, I have a video. Also, when I was talking to Jeff, Jeff is aware of how quickly they got it together, because I said, I know you have a camera back there, and you can see how fast, okay? Then it's this thing. If we can give permission to anybody just to drive these vehicles, I would really like a couple of vehicles to do some work on my property. If we can rent them out and make tax dollars, I would like to start renting out these vehicles and getting some tax dollars back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I banged it for you, baby. But it's not fair for us to have 3 minutes, because your
And that was
township
the last
people,
one?
your township people
We're
took me back
going
to
next to
1950,
public
took
hearing
me
and
to
voting on
1970 and
ordinances.
1980.
Bill number 27-2024, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the Mechanicsville Road widening project, Whitehall Township, in accordance with section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Warren.
Do I have a second?
Second at Pelagian.
Any comments or questions?
I appreciate your email today, Jack, and I agree we need to get this done. This project's been on the table since 2013, and I'm glad to see it coming to fruition. And this is connecting the sidewalk with our municipal library to the McDonald's property. There's a sidewalk gap there that students are compelled to encroach and walk into Mechanicsville Road. It's also to widen that bottleneck there, too.
Jack, how many qualified bidders did it end up being?
4 out of the 5.
4, okay. Okay. I know that there was some confusion back and forth.
Actually, 3 out of the 5. I think one, the 4th highest bidder, they didn't have consent. No, the ECMS, it was the ECMS sheets in both cases.
The bidder who will get this, I noticed there was something about references. Did that get taken care of?
Yeah. Allentown called today. They had a very positive experience, spoke glowingly of them, construction management. Telco, who was our traffic signal contractor, they spoke very highly of them, and there was 2 others that we got, so.
We're expecting a positive outcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelagian?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox?
Sorry, Mr. Sonica, I don't think you asked for public comment.
Oh,
and
I'm
there was a
sorry,
comment from the
I'm
public.
sorry. Does anybody have any comments from the public on this particular bill?
Apologize for interrupting.
No, again, I just trying to name and address, please.
Anthony Kopak, 3763 Dogwood Drive. I sat right in the front so you could see me tonight.
I can see you when you're sitting over there with your arm on the windowsill, too.
Okay, well, one of my questions was answered. You're going to tie the 2 sidewalks together. But how does that make pulling out of the McDonald's and making a left to go west on Mechanicsville Road any safer? Because if you stop at the stop sign to make the left there, you are looking into a side of a house. How does this project make that safer? Anybody stop at the stop sign there and make a left on Mechanicsville Road? You look at the side of a house. Whoever approved that must have had their head in the sand, I guess. I don't know.
Frank, do you have any?
That's a PennDOT regulated driveway from McDonald's, and that's entirely PennDOT's purview as to putting that driveway there.
So you don't think it's unsafe for the public to be looking at the side of a house?
That's my decision, that's PennDOT's decision. It's
Okay.
their
All right.
driveway, their permit. The Township of Whitehall had no involvement with that driveway whatsoever. Okay, we're taking all the trees down, we're cutting everything back to the front porch of the existing house. All right, that's the best we can do with it.
I know, it's gonna help somewhat, yeah, but it still doesn't resolve the issue that half the house should be gone, but,
Well, if you want to try to buy a commercially active for rental apartment building, they're not going to be pretty.
well,
All right?
like I said.
That's all I can tell you. It's a PennDOT road, we're spending all this money on a PennDOT road to improve the safety conditions at the best of our ability.
Okay, well then that's my other question, why is it on the taxpayers of the township to
Well,
fix the
it's not
PennDOT road?
Taxpayers, this is coming from the Traffic Impact Fund. It's entirely funded by developers to improve specific intersections within the township. And that was one that's been on the books for over 20 years. So there is no taxpayer money going towards these improvements. It's all done by private developer money that they pay traffic impact fees for.
Okay, and my last question would be, I didn't see any list of the bidders on the notes on the agenda. Well, has it been bid and awarded already?
Hasn't been awarded until they approve.
Oh, okay.
We had 5 bidders.
Well, you were talking about 5 bidders, so,
There were.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions by the audience?
Yes. Jerry Wernicke, 4297 Truman Circle.
You have to
As
you have to speak into the microphone because it's being recorded.
Okay. Jerry Wernicke, 4297 Truman Circle. As you do the approval or acceptance of these proposals, can you say who the low bidder was and the amount of the contract? Since that should be public information.
It's in our paperwork, yeah.
Thank you.
I have it here. Construction, the bid was awarded, or is to be awarded to Construction Masters LLC at a total price of $284,810.30.
Any further comments from the audience? I apologize for not asking before. So I don't know if you want to start over?
We'll start that back over.
Okay.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelagian? Yes. Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Atias, a yes. President Sloniker?
Aye.
It passes 7-0.
Bill number 28-2024, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the collection and disposal of municipal solid waste and recyclable contract number 2024-03 in accordance with Section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Pelagian.
Any discussion?
During the workshop session, we had a thorough discussion with this contract, the contractors here, and we asked questions that had to deal with the quality of the trash service that was going to be used, the type of equipment. The bid requires that the contractor has to do certain things. His equipment has to be 1/3 new, 1/3 a little bit older, type of things like that. I discussed the fact of previous experiences that we had in the past. They've assured us that those situations they've grown over a period of 8 years, and I was satisfied with what they had to say during the workshop session. I do know that there's a big conversation about the cost that's involved with this issue. That's going to be for another day, but I will tell you that I've spent an extensive time talking to Jack about the availabilities of what we can do to try to curb our cost, if anything. I will say that when you review the contract, all of our citizens are given many options for trash disposal. That could be anything from your grass, that if we elect not to take the grass, we'll end up in the trash no matter what, or dump the side of the road somewhere else. If there's tree limbs not going to be taken care of, we'll find that at the same place, and it's not worth the effort for our public works to go through the municipality and clean up that type of situation. So I'm in favor of those items being picked up. I also talked to Jack, and he explained to me how the trash system works with the county cooperation between, and there's certain things that are available to our citizens through the cooperation, and I can't tell you the name off the top of my head because I'm not really good at that part of it. But the bottom line is there are savings and things available to us as residents that we do take use of. The Cameron track is one example. The Cameron track is going to have a life expectancy is going to soon expire. It's been explained to me that there is a reserve put aside so that we can have another Cameron track to get rid of the things that we need to get rid of as time moves on. So in looking into it, I personally believe that this contract is a good contract. I do understand that it is a contract of which has a big increase. I also understand that the last major increase was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I wasn't paying for what I'm paying for now, and I think that had to be taken into consideration. I also understand there's a lot of things that are said in social media about our residents and our seniors. Our seniors have the availability of a 25% discount. I was going to go through a whole process and figuring weighted averages and all this other good stuff, and the bottom line is 25% discount to our seniors, I think, is more than acceptable based on the current market conditions out there. The other thing that happens is that when you look at a project like this, you have to decide how you're going to fund it. At another date, we're going to all sit down and figure out, is it going to be all at one shot, or is it going to be graduated, put across, or how we're going to do it? I think it's a service that we need. You sit down and say private contractors. I see the situation with private contractors. Harry gets it on Monday, Mary gets it on Tuesday, two different guys, you don't know what's going on. We live in a township that is a urban, rural type community where we can't afford to have somebody picking it up on Monday and then on Tuesday somewhere else. This is the best way to go, and that after talking to Jack and other people, I personally feel they did a lot of detail working on it, and the contractor asked a lot of questions, or answered a lot of questions. So I supported this, and this is why I'm making a motion to approve it. What we charge later on will be another day for discussion and how we get to that point. But I think it's important for everybody to know that we just don't sit here and say, we don't really care about the seniors, because that's not the case. It definitely is not the case. That's all I have to say.
Any other comments by board members?
I have one clarification and one comment. Part of the trash contract, we do get performance grants from the Pennsylvania DEP based on our ability to recycle and how we're handling our yard waste. So if it's upon the residents to be good stewards of their trash, that they're recycling recyclables and they're putting yard waste in their yard waste container and not in the trash, because we do, in the long term, next year, 5 years from now, when we're bidding this contract again, the bidders are going to look at our tonnage of trash, our recycling, and how we've managed our own waste. And that's what they're going to base their bids on next time. So it's upon us to be good stewards. And other municipalities have only received two bidders. We've gotten 2 bids. I think Catasauqua only had 2 bids. It's just the nature of the business. Out of area haulers aren't probably bidding because they feel like they're not competitive too. The question I did ask JP Mascaro was, are you getting front load or rear load? And the real reason I'm asking is, handling trash in the past where you're having guys dragging 100-pound barrels and dumping in the back had problems. If things fell off, they didn't always see it. But my question is, if you're buying a mid-load truck, does the hauler have the ability to see something fell before they drive away?
I go up to the mic, right?
Sure.
JP Mascaro III from JP Mascaro and Sons. We spoke about this at the workshop. The trucks will be all brand-new vehicles. They are going to be side-load automated vehicles. The driver certainly will have the ability to, he'll be riding on the curbside along with where the collection will be taking place, so he'll be able to observe the mechanical operation of the vehicle, and obviously anything that falls out, he'll be able to quickly hop out of the low-entry vehicle and address any issues as they arise.
Not blind to the hauler. Okay.
Correct.
And there will be bumps. I mean, this is a big undertaking, so it's going to be it's not going to be perfect the first time around. So I'd ask everybody to have
We
patience.
do have familiarity with the township, obviously. As we discussed at the last meeting, we've grown. We're a much larger, stronger, more stable company. We have many contracts that are of this size or larger. We service over 100 municipalities throughout the Commonwealth with all excellent ratings on our service. So we're prepared to, we understand it is a big increase over what you're currently paying your current vendor. We don't need to, certainly I'll make myself available to discuss with anybody on the board or residents as to the state of our industry and what the costs associated with that are at another time. I'll certainly make myself available. But along with that, we understand that you're expecting an exceptional level of service, and we're ready to provide that to the township and the residents.
And
Yes.
you might be able to answer it, and it may have been in our information, but I'm just gonna ask it anyways, I may have missed it. Does the route, because we're switching over, do the routes will the routes be changed at all in terms of, is my schedule going to change? I'm not asking it to be exactly the same, but I'm sure there's probably some residents wondering, like, is their garbage day gonna be different when we switch over, or is it expected to kind of match what was already in place?
Well, generally, what we'll do is we'll get with staff and come up with the best plan to address that issue, quite frankly.
The contract has, or the bid specs have the 5 days and the maps of each route, that those are going to be the days for collection. And as Mr. Mascaro said, if there would be any deviation, that would have to get approval of the township first.
Okay, great, thank you.
As well as anything that you guys have observed over the last contract that you want to change, we'd be willing to handle that as well. So we'll work with staff.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments by the board?
Yes,
just-
I do, if that's
Go ahead.
possible. Yep. I know there was some discussion at the workshop about possibly reducing rates for singles or people, elderly people or retired people, et cetera. And one of the things I think a lot, and there was also some discussion about going back to staff or public works collecting trash. Next month, it'll be 34 years since I moved into Whitehall. I was not born and raised here. I came from outside of Philadelphia. But when I first started in Whitehall did collect trash. It was twice a week. They had recycling containers. There were 3 containers, one for newspaper, one for glass, one for cans. Those days are gone. They're gone, and they're not going to come back. Just to maintain the equipment would bankrupt the township, or your taxes would probably more than double. So those days are gone. To give you an analogy or a comparison, actually, my significant other lives up in Mahoney Township in Carbon County, and they have private contractors up there. She pays $280 per quarter for trash, and that does not include recycling. So when I look at what the bills are going to be, while I don't want to pay it because I barely fill a toter, both recycling and my own trash, because I live alone, the fact is what we're getting, the fact that the services are going to be identical to what you have now. We're not reducing any services. They're still going to pick up grass. They're still going to pick up yard waste. And we can't contaminate the grass with the yard waste. That's something that does kick back. And when we went through the bid contracts, some of the information that was brought out to light that was new to me was the fact that the loads are monitored. And when a load has been contaminated, both trash and or yard waste or grass, it gets back to the township. So we're going to be paying extra for that. So people need to realize this is not just throw it in a container and away it goes and we never see it again. It's a whole different ballgame out there. And so that's why I am in favor of this contract. And I know we went through, we had this discussion. I personally brought it up about the two difference in the bids, how there was a discrepancy in the one bid, and it was decided that only one bid was qualified. But it was a public bid that was advertised. Am I correct, Mr. Myers? And there were only 2 bidders. So there was a comment made about why weren't there more bidders that bid on this? Well, when there's only 2, you only get 2 bids. So that's why I'm in favor of this.
Any further comments? I myself just want to echo the sentiments that were given by Commissioner Snyder and by Commissioner Pelagian. This is not taken lightly. Everybody on the board has to pay for their garbage too. It's not something that you go, it's okay, only those people are paying. No, we're all paying our fair share. And we're trying to do it as best we can, and we certainly will be looking in to see what kind of how we're going to but how we're going to go ahead and address the issue for seniors and those with not as much money with their income and all. So, all right, now, no other talk up here?
One additional comment. I brought this up at the workshop, and while we'll talk about it in a month or two, I am pushing to allow the township residents to move to a quarterly billing system.
where we're going to be paying on quarters. It's a utility. It's just like your sewer and your water bills. We pay quarterlies for the water and sewer in the township, and I think it's fair, especially with the increase, I think it's only right that the township residents have the ability to spread this increased cost out over the entire year. I personally will make use of it, so hopefully we're going to get that done.
Andrea Hoagland?
Hello. Andrea Hoagland, 51 Kemet Avenue. My problem is always, like, we get a 5-year contract. We only have one bidder. So they can do anything to us. We never seem to put anything in the policy that covers us as a town. When I first moved into the township, we all had these, everybody on my block had these pull out with the wheels. The people who did the trash back then, they had to hand do it. This kid one time came down our block and broke everybody's one wheel. So he learned how to slam that just right to break every one of our wheels. So when everybody's like, what the freak? None of our cans was working. So we went out and got the big green ones, okay, real heavy. My thing is, when we have a problem like this, and we only have one company, and they know we only have one company, but we didn't. We did have 2 companies, but you said they messed up on the paperwork or whatever, because we as a town never make a mistake. Like, we're not out on Sunday with our public works truck and trailer during a rainstorm that we could get sued if somebody hits that vehicle. We don't do stuff like that, you know, because they could be cutting down trees, like I told the last mayor. Why we got sewage people cutting down trees? But anyhow, again, a 5-year contract, why is these contracts so long? You just don't want to discuss it again, or what? You got an 80% increase. How much of an increase we got? How much? 88. Shouldn't we just lock in for like a year or 2 and then readdress this? 88%. What the? Is that legal?
The discussion's up this way, it's not with the audience.
Is that legal though? Seriously, can I just, like tomorrow, I have a business and I say I'm gonna raise it 100%. Ken, you keep talking about, you have businesses, right? So could you just go and raise your product 100%? Is that legal or?
Answer your question as a business person. If my contract requires that I have to buy new equipment and do certain things, I need to get a return on my investment. In order to get a return on my investment, I need a longer time based at the cost of goods. So you would ask for a 5-year contract so you could feel comfortable to get your return on your investment.
I can see him wanting 5 years,
Excuse me, you asked me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. The other thing is that we're locked in for 5 years. To be honest with you, if I would be a guy doing business right now, I wouldn't guarantee anything out 5 years based on what's going on in the marketplace.
No, me neither.
But this is the way it's done in this particular field. I feel
Why?
very comfortable with this arrangement because we're protected for 5 years.
At 88%?
And 88% considered gravy, because if we would have done it your way, at the end of 2 years, you would have had a big increase and paying that for 3 additional years.
Maybe not, because maybe the economy would turn itself back
You asked me
around.
my answer, and I'm giving it to you. So I feel very comfortable as a commissioner based on the terms and conditions of the contract. Yes, my comments are done. I feel comfortable.
5 years though. I hope it's not like the market and then all of a sudden tomorrow the prices go down and we're stuck. And what's our guarantee? If we don't like the service we're getting, how do we get out of it? Like, say if he brings drivers in that don't have licenses, or say if at 11 o'clock at night he's in my neighborhood and do we have any way out of that 5-year contract? Or do they only ones with the?
The contract is with 2 sets of people.
Okay.
We have responsibilities to pay them, they have responsibilities to do the service.
But what do we
If
get?
there's problems, that's when the attorneys get involved, and that's when everything gets more expensive.
And then we pay the attorney.
I'm just telling you, you want the world to be perfect, and
Yes,
I
I
wish
do.
it was too, but it's not.
Yes, I do.
And
I just want everybody to try their
I don't see
best.
a problem that they're gonna go ahead and do what you say they might do, because they're in business and they want to keep their business. They're not going to get into it so that we have to sue them and then go look for other bidders that are good.
Okay.
They're going to try and give us the best service they can.
Okay.
And not all of these costs are something that they say, oh, we're just making money.
Okay.
They also have a lot that they have to do when they take the
Okay.
refuse to someplace and dump it. Those fees have all gone up.
Okay.
So, That's where we're at.
It seems like y'all fight more for our contract, the people who try and get, than you do for us in town. You represent us.
Ms. Andrea,
Yes, sir.
I can tell you that my father's a resident for 30 years, and
Uh-huh.
he interrogated me about this contract because he cares, just like everybody else sitting here. As a commissioner, I can tell you that we looked at this very seriously, very closely. And I think you saw that everybody up here is pretty much on board with it. So if there's anything new,
But honey, I've ran into a lot of
Sure.
dishonesty, not
I understand.
honorable practices and things like that. If everybody was honorable, then I would never get up here and question. Actually, the last 2+ years, I'd have been home. Tonight, I'd been watching a football game or preparing to watch my football game. So again, I don't want to be here, but there's a lot of questions when it comes
Yeah.
to, especially money around here.
no, I
Thank you,
understand.
Andrea.
Thank you.
Sir,
And
up to the
emotions and
front.
friendship
Name and
and-
address, please.
All that good stuff. There we go.
Hi, my name's Rob Bloom from 1247 Hampshire Drive, Whitehall. I hope you did not pick Mascaro. I'm sorry to say that, Mr. Mascaro, your company is useless.
All right,
I'm
we're not
sorry.
gonna get
I'm
into
gonna tell
something
you-
here
I'm
where we're
gonna tell you exactly
disparage
what happened
anybody.
the last
And I know
time.
people have problems with
Mr.
everything.
Thomas, let me speak,
Okay.
speak. The last time you guys had Mr. Mascaro's company, my wife actually stood at our bay window in our house, watched his employee pick up a window that I put out for garbage onto our sidewalks and smash it and walk away. My wife came out to the driver that was driving his truck up the street. The guy flips my wife off as a resident of your township. And then you bring this guy back into our township?
And again,
Waste
what you're
management
saying
was
is
phenomenal.
We're gonna say that what you have maybe is valid, I don't know.
Valid. I called your township. Mr. Thomas, let me speak. Stop. That's your problem. You don't leave people
We've
speak.
been reassured by Mascaro
You
that it's
do-
changed. And again, but when we go out and this is not something that we just
called
said,
the
oh, we only
township.
have these.
Mr. Thomas,
We
let me
went
speak.
ahead and
That's your
checked.
problem.
Sir.
You don't own a business, do you? That's what I
I'm
thought.
sorry to
'Cause you
say,
don't leave-
I
you
own
don't
two
leave it-
businesses.
You got
really
to
three.
leave a
But
customer
anyway,
speak.
I understand that, but
Without
what
being
I'm saying is,
interrupted.
you can't disparage people, and 8 years have gone by. When
Are
we
you
checked
kidding me?
around, when we
All
checked
right.
around with the other municipalities, they say that they now get
That's your
better
problem.
service. No, it's not it's what we have to
Come
do
on,
to make a
man.
valid
The guy
judgment.
smashed the window right on my
again,
sidewalks and
you had
walks
an
away. The
incident
driver
by
flips
one
my wife
employee.
off.
The one
Come
employee
on,
does
man, we
not
call the
necessarily
township. The
represent
township
Mascaro.
tells us to call Mascaro, which we did, and guess what? It didn't get resolved. They were supposed to come back and clean it up off our sidewalk. That never happened.
Mascaro, will it be cleaned up this time if something like that happened? And again, we can only go by what people tell us and when we ask other municipalities that they don't have these
Let
kind
me
of
ask you a
problems.
question. Who was the other bidder?
Waste management.
And that's who you should have went with.
And
Because they do
put
a
through
phenomenal job.
they
I'm
put
sorry to
through
say
a
that to you.
faulty
I'll pay the
contract.
extra bill for waste management,
Okay, Mr.
as long as I'm getting a good job.
Okay, Mr. Mascaro, please address.
I can't speak to what occurred eight years ago in a specific instance, but I can assure you that certainly our company prides itself on the level of service that we give. I'm sure in any contract there are isolated incidents where employees don't follow the rules and procedures, and we will hold those employees accountable if something like that were to occur in the future. But rest assured, our goal and our aim is to make sure that your residents have an exceptional experience with our company and with the level of service that they get from our company.
Thank you.
Can I have your cell phone number so I can call you?
You sure can.
Thank you.
And again, I'm in no way that I'm taking anybody's sides here. I'm just saying, everybody thinks this is real simple, that we
It's
just
not
do this.
simple. I know it's not
It's
simple.
very
I own
hard.
a business.
It's-
Mr. Snyder knows I own a business. But I don't appreciate somebody smashing stuff on my sidewalk.
And nobody
I keep my
does.
property clean.
Nobody does.
And then the driver flipping my wife off on
And
top
that,
of it?
totally,
He's lucky I
everything
wasn't
you
moved.
said is and
I
it's not,
respect my
not
wife.
something that's
You know what I
acceptable.
mean? And she's a young lady like these ladies up here. Come on, man. At least you can do is go to the residents and say, hey, these are the two that we got. You know what I mean? At least tell somebody something.
We're not allowed by law to do that, sir. Simple as that.
All right. How about the money from the tax office a couple years ago that got stolen and we stewed on the words on it?
Again,
How
we
about
were
that?
discussing right
Thank you
now,
very much.
we're discussing the contract for here for the waste removal.
Karen Pashevko, 3303 Musselman Court. I'd like to respectfully ask that the 3-minute rule be imposed with the comments during these issues.
As long as I don't hear repetitive stuff.
Okay.
What I did not like about the last person there was, you can't get up and disparage anybody. You can say, I had a bad time
Okay.
with this provider.
Okay.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
But you can't get into this and that,
That's
really.
fine. So I can tell you that we have Mascaro at Fellowship, and I'm very happy with their service. I particularly like their single stream recycling. We had some questions about their procedures and what could be recycled and what couldn't, and a representative from the company came out, and we had a public meeting with our residents, and she explained the recycling rules and answered our questions. So I'm very happy with Mascaro. We have a garbage crisis in our world. A lot of people complain about the prices. Are they as vigilant with their complaints in trying to reduce their own garbage? Do you think about what you buy? Because this pen has to be thrown away. It's going to go in the garbage, and where's it going to go? I don't have to do it, but my neighbor and I, Janet, we both have composters in the back of our places. So we use our compost in our yards. I would like to see the township and Mascaro work together in the future to try to encourage people to reduce their waste, to try to incentivize people to reduce their waste. I realize we can't get to an issue where you pay for what you throw away. I know that's a little bit too complicated, but perhaps the EAC could help to educate our residents about reducing waste simply because it's a good thing to do. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Lorianne.
Lorianne Fano, 3107 North 3rd Street. I just have a question. Are cans remaining the same size? Are we getting new totes staying the same? They changing?
They'll stay the same.
They'll stay the same? And then also bulk items, still 2 bulk items, correct? That won't be reduced. Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
We'll have you. Yeah. We heard from you a little bit, so we like the new people.
I've never done this before, so I shouldn't actually
Name
be
and
here
address,
because
please.
I'm
Name
not.
and address, please.
Okay, my name's Ethel Moyer. I live 3601 Lee High Street. So I shouldn't be here because I'm not mentally stable enough to be here. So, but you guys got me out here. I don't think you worry about seniors or the disability like myself, who only gets $900 a month. How do I pay 88% increase in garbage? Now I have a mother that lives with me. She's 76 years old, but I can't get the discount because her name isn't on the property. I would have to go to a lawyer with my $900 a month to get a paper drawn up. So how does this work for me as an 88% increase? Years ago, I called the tax office. I was told that we're going to get the garbage bill on a payment. Never came to fruition years later. So, a lot of people need to be thought about from your highest income to your mine, which is nothing. So, 88 is a lot. I can't even pay my garbage bill now. I always have to get the penalty on me because anywhere from July to December, it's considered late, overdue. And I have to pay so much more money, but that's the only way I can pay it, through a holiday bonus my husband will get from his employer. So we don't enjoy Christmas ever because that's what we gotta use to pay that bill off. So I hope it's not an 88%. Maybe take away from some of the school tax to help people a little bit with the garbage, something, so that's what I gotta say.
Are trying to go ahead and have it done in quarterly payments, which might help you. But we still need to get the software and whatnot to do this. It's not something that is as easy as people think, that's all.
And we don't know what the price is at 88%. Like, how much more is that? Because you guys didn't bring a price to us right today.
We're gonna have that fairly soon, that you'll know what the cost is.
Say if it's 300 and some dollars, I can't even pay that for a whole year, you know what I mean? And it's hard for, I want you to take an issue for me, if something breaks at my house or I need something else, well, I gotta rob Peter to pay Paul, And it gets to the point where, oh yeah, you can take so much out of your check, but when something happens and I need something immediately, I have to rob it, and I don't have where I can pay the garbage bill on time, as of now. And to pay it on time is such a small window for people like me. I know senior citizens, they'll get maybe Social Security, they might get a pension, they get a little more than definitely I do. And hey, the drug cost, and this has nothing to do, but I'm just saying the cost, that's, one of my medicines, $144. So just imagine, it's crazy. I just want you to think about people like me too.
Everybody up here has people that they know that have problems getting money together to pay bills.
Yeah.
It's not, and again, we're all very much aware of this, and we don't want to go ahead and just pay lots of money just for say an ad, it doesn't matter. We all care.
Could you have put in the bid out again to see if anybody would pick it up? Or is it?
Can I answer your question?
Yeah.
You asked about special circumstances, and if I'm wrong, Jack will correct me. I think we have approximately 8,800 stops for people collecting garbage at this particular point. Of the 8,800, there's another 1,100 that are senior citizens that get the discount. And I think there's also something called a special circumstances arrangement, and I'm not prepared to get into those details, but I am digging into it. I am looking at it to see exactly what can be done. There's a lot of information. I wasn't prepared tonight to go into those details, but I'm sure my Board of Commissioners, as well as Jack, will look at ways that if there's a special situation, there's ways to accommodate that, and our solicitor will tell us if that's the case. It's a new game up here. You have 4 new commissioners up here. We're trying our best to work this thing out, and I appreciate what you're saying, but we need the time.
I know, and that's why I'm putting more things forward, whether you guys thought about it or not, because I can't give it for my house because my mom is not on the property. I have to go to a court, get something, fill out that she has property rights until the day she dies in order to get it, and I'm like, she's in the system,
We understand the problems that you had, and we're trying to address as best we can for everybody.
All right,
So thank you.
I appreciate you coming this evening, and I think that what you're telling us is a shared economic hardship with a lot of people these days, and it's not just senior citizens.
Yeah.
It's people maybe with disabilities or people who are on a fixed income, right?
Yeah.
There's single parents, there's widows, there's a lot of people who can identify with an economic hardship, and I think that I, as one of the commissioners, definitely keep that in mind, and I think that all of us too are trying to come up with something that isn't gonna be terrifying, and I know it's stressful not knowing and planning out for the future with your money. So, but,
Thank you.
yeah, we are thinking about that.
advocating.
Name and address.
Joni Tedesco, 424 4th Street in Whitehall. I really do hope that you take into consideration making the payment plans. That would help a lot of people. And the second question that I have is, I don't know where it all came about for the age for the reduction in the garbage tax to age 72. But would it ever be considered for a senior citizen to lower the age bracket to get the discount? I mean, we are in our golden years. And I'm telling you, the only thing that seems to be golden anymore is your urine. You know, so, I mean, really, if you could take into consideration a lesser age, I think that would be helpful as well. Okay, that's all I have to offer, but I hope you all take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Go Huskies. What?
I'm calling somebody else up. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll be quick. I'm done. I know. Sit down.
Dawn Saganowich, 3123 Soda Lane, Whitehall. I am a property manager. My husband and I are mom and pop landlords in the township. My husband is going to be 73 years old, and we've had our properties since we're married from October of 82, and he had them from 76. My husband threw garbage in this township back in the day, and his father worked at the township. So I know, and my question is, Lori Ann asked it about the same cans. I remember the twice a week pickup, the twice a year cleanup, and whatever you could put out 10 items and they would take it all. And I understand it's landfill. But I get irritated when I see people all over this township who, I feel bad for the garbage guys, that their lids to their cans are not closed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your letter years ago said if the lid was not down, it will not be picked up. And I see these haulers working hard to get this stuff in the truck. And yes, it falls out, but they have this stuff pouring over the recycling and the garbage cans. It's ridiculous. And I do remember problems with Mascaro. I'm going to be kind and I'm not going to bash you, but I do remember there were problems with Mascaro. He said they've cleaned him up. Let's give him a try. But also, is the township going to charge the landlord, like me, the same amount, and the taxpayers the same amount as this is going to cost the township? I guess my question is the township making any money off of this whole deal? And because years ago, I called the hauler that we had because I was paying $335 for my landlord-owned properties, and I pay 3 of them, even though one property is one deed, and I pay for 2 garbages there. And I called, and they said there is no difference for the residents or the landlord-owned property. So is that going to be across the board, and is the township making any money off of this whole thing?
Township is not making a nickel on this.
Okay.
Just so you're aware.
Just so that-
We're trying to keep the cost down.
I get
The
it.
thing we're thinking about is, hey, maybe we can make an extra buck on this or something. It
Well,
just
you
doesn't
did,
exist.
y'all did make it years ago on my landlord-owned properties. I paid $35
I'll tell you right now, we did
extra.
not, we did not make any.
Well, somebody was making it.
And again, it's the haulers.
And
It's not the township.
And I remember the previous treasurer told me years ago that they were going to go to installments. But you think about that. You go to installments and you have somebody that moves out of their property mid-year.
And then the next property owner picks up the rest of that. It gets done when the property is exchanged,
how much was paid in advance, and now you'll have to pay back the money for it. That's just the natural real estate sales deal. I mean, so.
Well, you better make sure your tax clerks get to work, because there's gonna be more work for them.
Okay, we're not talking about that right now.
Well, I'm just throwing
okay?
that in there for an
Again,
extra
thank you very
tidbit.
much. All right, Mr. Kopech.
Anthony Kopak, 3763 Dogwood Drive, Whitehall. We got a lot to unpack here, don't we? My first question is for JP the third. Can I ask him a question?
Once you answer it, sure.
So let's
Talk
say
into the microphone.
let's say I called up Basin Street and I lived in a place that, you know, I could pick my own hauler. And I want to get, you know, the trash and recycling. How much a quarter would it cost me just for trash and recycling for you to pick up with one of your small trucks? And I might not even need once a week service. I might need every other week.
I need that money, thank you. One thing is every municipality and every contract has different requirements that are put into the bid specifications, which affect the way the bidders look at the township, the number of units, what the service levels are, the number of times a week, what's in the recycling. All those things are into consideration, so it's different, you know, really across the board. In terms of calling Basin Street and getting an individual subscription, you probably wouldn't get a price from us because we've kind of moved away from that model. We really only like to do business with municipal contracts and municipal townships as a general rule.
Fair enough, but I do see your six-wheel small trash truck going around picking up private residents. So,
Well, it might be part of a contract where they're picking up business.
Okay, Mr.
Possible.
Mr. Kopech, you can stop with him now.
okay.
You can address us.
To address the fact that we can't pick our own hauler, that we're going to have trucks on different days going up and down the street, well, everybody that has oil heat has a different oil supplier bringing their truck up and down the street. I don't see no difference in that,
And there's a
except that it's more
there's a huge
frequent.
difference in that. You don't get oil every week.
I just said that. You don't have to argue with me, I just said that. But
You're trying
still,
to compare apples with oranges, that's all.
okay. Now, not everybody uses the same amount of service either. And in respect to Mr. Myers' answer is, well, the older people now are just paying back for when they had kids. No, I'm sorry, for the second time, there are some people that, A, maybe choose not to have kids, maybe are not able to have kids.
We're not having a special meeting in the audience back there. Please respect the speaker.
There's people that are maybe not able to have kids or, you know, or just can't have kids, period. But to say, well, it all equals out. It doesn't equal out. I have a gentleman that just moved in the side of me. He doesn't even put his trash bin out every day. But we're paying, or every week. But we're paying for, it's no longer single-family households. You have the parents, you have the kids in the house now, and you have their kids in the house. It's not single-family. Not everybody pays the same for water, the sewer. It's on the amount you use. This is one blanket price. Everybody pays the same, which, like, I already got some prices. $95 a quarter for just trash and recycling. I don't know where you came up with your number of 200 and some dollars up north, but
Well, I'll tell you where I got that from, and I watched her. I saw her write the check. So if you're questioning my integrity, I take great offense to that.
I'm not questioning anybody's integrity. I'm just saying I heard other numbers to the contrary.
$1 a quarter, and that's what she's paying.
Well, I know people that are paying $90, $95 a quarter.
Great, more power to them.
President Slaughter, can I make a comment? Tonight's discussion is to approve the contract. That's what we're here to approve.
And again-
Dollars and cents is on another day, another agenda for when it gets on to discuss the agenda. I would like to move on the agenda, approve the contract or disapprove it, and we can debate all this other stuff at another time when we have the opportunity to review all the data from the administration. So I would like to end it and move on.
The public has a right to talk, and again,
It's on the agenda.
and this is on the agenda. It's about the waste, not the waste, it's about the waste refuse taking the garbage away. And again, I think that you have to hear different parts of it. And again, I know what you're bringing up, that, well, we're not talking about dollars and cents here. But what he's bringing up does relate to dollars and cents. Although, it's getting to where it's a little off beat, because we're not going to, everybody get their own garbage hauler. It's just not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
So, right now, what he says is true. You're on the edge of not addressing what we're gonna be voting.
All right, well, you get rid of picking up Christmas trees, that would save you $37,000, and you would, people could mulch their yard in, and most older people have landscapers to come and take care of their property.
And a lot of people that live in apartments or live in houses where they don't have the ability, that there isn't a place where they can go out and mulch it up and all that. Again, what you're saying is, we taken that into consideration when we looked at the bid that was given.
Well, what I'd like to know is how you come up with the 72-year-old as a senior. No, technically, you're a senior once you're on Social Security.
That's not true. Seniors are designated by whatever group wants to designate.
It's designated by whatever you decide, yes, I understand that.
Not by us, it's by every group.
If you look at the other townships, there's less of an age restriction for discounts for seniors. You need to expand, open your eyes, and look at different townships' programs.
And again, what you're saying is absolutely true, but you're not introducing anything new that we haven't considered. So, it's one of these things where if you go ahead and address something new that we want to hear.
I could tell you the reason you only get 2 bids, because not everybody has, trucks sitting around to service this contract, like Waste Management and probably the largest private hauler in Pennsylvania do. They have equipment sitting around that they can put on a job in 3 months. Who else can order equipment and have it delivered in 3 months to service your contract? It's just not going to happen.
She's trying to address you, and you, again, sometimes you don't listen to what we're trying to tell you. And I'm just bringing that up because a lot of times we have to try and talk over you, and it's because you're not listening, but she was addressing you, and you didn't even hear her.
Well, because I was still talking. Go ahead, I'm listening.
We ended up with 2 bidders because the other ones didn't qualify with what they submitted for the bids.
We submitted paperwork to every contractor that does municipal collections. Whitetail chose not to bid. Republic chose not to bid. That was their option. They didn't feel either they couldn't take on the contract, or like you said, they just can't take additional work on. It's a big contract. It's a really big contract. Probably, other than Allentown, the second largest contract in Lehigh County. We solicited or asked for bids for all of these companies, and 2 of them chose to show up at the pre-bid meeting, which was mandatory, and 2 of them chose to bid. That was it. We couldn't go out and say, "Oh, you sure you don't want to bid?" No, I mean, they're companies that are making corporate decisions on what business they want to transact within their corporation. And the township has no business in interfering with that. What we do is, by law, advertise, solicit information, get background questions, answer those questions, and receive the bids and open them. And there were 2 bids submitted on a timely basis, none after the fact. And those were the 2 you're left. You could repeat that thing all over again, and it's not going to change what's going to happen here. The contract Last time was for $15 million. This time it's for $23 million over 5 years.
And we have, what, 8,800 households, or 8,800 plus the 1,000, 1,100 that are getting a discount?
We had, as of our budget last year, 8,243 customers. 1,089 of them qualified for discount.
Well, I
One
believe,
out of every 8.
so we're looking at probably $575, somewhere in that neighborhood.
You might be, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll get to that later on, Mr.
But,
Kopech.
but we get to leaf collection, wait up, leaf collection. We know other townships collect their leaves. We already have the trucks, dump trucks, to blow the leaves into, like the other townships. I don't think you're paving streets in November. We could utilize labor that we're already paying for and equipment we already own to reduce the cost of this contract by picking our own leaves up.
And you have to buy the equipment that's able to do that.
That's okay.
You're never going to get weekly collection in the township for leaves like you do now. You just won't. We cannot, our forces cannot send enough trucks out to collect the leaves on a weekly basis for the neighborhoods. It's just too big a township to do that.
I go through plenty of
what you're
townships. I'm
spending-
sure there's townships of this size that are comparable, but so be it. All right, very well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kopech. Is there any other hands out there that need to be heard? Okay, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
It was me.
Yeah, I got it written, I have it written down here. Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelagian,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarfaro,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Atias is a yes, President Sloniker.
Aye.
Okay, passes 7-0.
Bill number 29-2024, an ordinance deferring the required installation of both curbing and sidewalks for approximately 500 feet along the MacArthur Road frontage of 3561 West Columbia Street as required in Chapter 21, Section 21-16 of the codified ordinances of Whitehall Township. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion, Warren.
Do I have a second? Any comments or questions?
The only comment I had last week was that we button up the corner there at MacArthur Road in Columbia. And curb cuts where they should be, I think they're on the plan, and that it's conforming to what exists. And I'm fine with the deferral personally on MacArthur Road. We don't have people walking that area yet. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kopech, I'm sorry, I'm just having a wonderful evening here, so please, name and address.
Scream.
Anthony Kopak, 3763 Dogwood Drive. So we're going to defer sidewalks for a period of time on Columbia Street, or,
MacArthur Road, that's all it says, MacArthur Road.
The address is Columbia Street, Mr. Kopak, but the section that's being deferred is along MacArthur Road only. There is sidewalk going
There will
along
be
Columbia
sidewalk
Street.
required for Columbia.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from out there? Okay, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarfaro, Commissioner Atias is a yes, Commissioner Fox, Commissioner Pelagian,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
President Sloniker.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay. Bill number 30-2024, first hearing, there'll be no action. An ordinance authorizing the sale of Whitehall Township property located at 3731 Lehigh Street in Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, to Safe Wrap LLC in accordance with the terms and conditions expressed in bid number 2024-08 for the sum of $610,185.99. Public hearing and voting on resolutions. Resolution number 3335, a resolution authorizing, empowering, and directing the proper officers of the governing body to execute an agreement with Berkheimer whereunder Berkheimer is retained as the exclusive tax officer for the collections, administration's receipt and enforcement of the provisions of the respective tax enactment of the governing board levying and assessing the business privilege tax for the term herein defined, together with such extensions as may be agreed upon, said tax enactment having been adopted under and pursuant to the authority of the Pennsylvania Local Tax Enabling Act, Act 511 PL 1257, and approving and adopting the rules and regulations prepared by Berkheimer to administer and enforce the business privilege tax. Do I hear a motion?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Resolution number 3335. Oh, you don't want to hear me keep talking. Don't worry, I mess it up each time I read it.
I'll move.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Questions for Jack Gross, Attorney Gross? Yes. Just so you're working on whether or not you get a license, but you not necessarily have to pay taxes. You're still working on that issue that we discussed.
Correct.
So when
That's
this
not-
company does this and we hand them all of our business licenses, does not necessarily mean that all those businesses will have to pay taxes. You're working on figuring that out. Two separate things.
Yes, I am. I'm working on getting you the opinion you asked for.
Right.
But in general, the fact that someone has a license does not mean that they owe tax. They're two different standards.
Two different things.
Exactly.
And I just want to make sure, as we've gone through this process, my opinion hasn't changed. We need to get a policy and understanding of how that's going to work.
Understood.
That's all. Thank you.
And that'll be shared with the entire board.
Absolutely.
Great, yeah, because I'm a little fuzzy on who does and who doesn't, so thank you.
A lot of people are fuzzy on it.
There's been requests from the treasurer on this as well, so.
Fine.
Any other comments from the board? Questions? Any comments or questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, please pull the...
Sorry, you had one.
Oh, I didn't see, you do a little bit more higher. This here is not that good for me to see.
I'll be quick. Okay, so I am a landlord in the township, and I pay a business license every year of $35. And I pay the business privilege tax off my gross, not my net, to the township, and that includes part to the school district. So are there people in this township that have a license who, because I see people doing business in this township all the time, and I'm always calling to find out, do these people have a license? And the treasurer checks up on them, and many of them don't have a license, so she sends them the proper licensing. Anybody who does work in this township should have a business license. So if they're doing work in the township, why would they not have income to do the business? So is Berkheimer going to go after the people who aren't paying the business privilege tax? And are there businesses in the township who currently are not paying the business privilege tax? Mrs. Corn, I think that would be your question.
There are businesses that aren't required to pay the tax, like manufacturing. There's a few others.
The township can only impose a business privilege tax as permitted by state law. So there's a state enabling act that says who we are allowed to tax, and there are exceptions. The treasurer mentioned one, manufacturers are not required to pay it.
Okay.
Certain other, there've been a number of court cases over the years. It's not a simple answer. So
Okay.
yes, there are people who do business
don't
that
pay
are
the
not
tax.
required to pay the tax under state law. And we can only collect it from people that the state permits.
Any further questions by the audience? Okay, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Tia is a yes. Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Peligian?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren? Aye. Commissioner Fox? Yes. President Sloniker?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Resolution 3336, a resolution authorizing a liaison between Whitehall Township and Berkheimer, the duly appointed collector of business privilege tax for the township, for the express purpose of sharing confidential tax information with the township for the purpose of the collection, administration, receipt, and enforcement of assessing the business privilege tax. Do I hear a motion?
Motion. Scarfaro.
Do I have a second?
I will, Fox.
Any questions or comments by the board?
I'm looking for something.
Ooh, but happiness is out there, they tell me.
Your short notes on the, that you give as a summary said appoints the treasurer as sole. I thought when I read it last week, it was just a liaison, and the word treasurer was not in there. Am I misunderstanding that?
I don't remember seeing the change.
Don't remember seeing what?
The change.
So is it this treasurer is the sole person, just the treasurer? It's not a general liaison? Okay, thank you. Just a clarification. I know, I just want to make sure I understood.
Any other questions by the board? Any questions from the audience? Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Tias, a yes. Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelagian?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
And President Sloniker.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Resolution 3337, a resolution adopting the schedule of collection costs to be imposed and added to delinquent tax by the H.A. Berkheimer, Inc. for administrating and enforcing the business privilege tax. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Pelagian.
Do I have a second?
Go ahead, Holly.
I'll second Scarfaro.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Pelagian?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Tias, a yes. President Sloniker?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Resolution 3338, a resolution conditionally approving the major subdivision/land development plan of 1176 Mickley Self-Storage located at 1176 Mickley Road, index number 2031-23A. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Pelagian.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Ken Snyder.
Any comments or questions from the board?
We're good, Frank?
We're good.
They're going to put a safety, they're going to take care of that?
Yep, that's on the
Emergency
building
route.
permit. That'll be with the building permit.
Okay.
Any other questions by the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Pelagian?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Tias, a yes. Commissioner Scarfaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
President Sloniker?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Resolution 3339, a resolution conditionally approving the land development plan of Tractor Supply Company located at 3561, 3581 West Columbia Street, index number 2033-23A. Do I hear a motion?
That motion, Warren.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Take over. We have a first and a second. Can we please pull the board? Oh, we have any questions from the board?
I do. The developers here, the question I had was kind of when you did your, doesn't make a difference anymore, it's a long night. The 16-foot fence is definitely going in, correct?
Around the fenced outdoor
That's fine.
display, yes.
When I reviewed the plan, the question I had was, there's no landscaping to show a buffer along that fence. If I saw it right, I could pull it back up, but along the fence, as you drive down the driveway, you're going to be driving next to this 16-foot fence, correct?
Further into the
As
site,
you're driving into the site.
it's well back into the site, though. It's beyond the parking lot. It's
there
up
any way we-
towards where the building
Is
is.
there any way we can just make sure some of the landscaping has a buffer to break it down so it doesn't look
We-
like this?
We do have there is going to be a buffer out front around the
I know,
basin
I saw-
around that
I saw a
fence.
buffer around front.
But typically, from, the fence is there primarily for security and loss prevention. So it's landscaping.
16 feet is 4 feet higher than this building that we're sitting here right here. That's a fence, 16 feet. That's a two-story building. For all intents and purposes, it's tall, and I get it. but is there any way to put some landscaping along that side so it looks a little bit different than driving by and feeling like you're walking by a prison?
Are you asking to put higher than 16-foot landscaping?
I'm
Or
not asking for anything, just anything in between.
is it meeting all
Frank, am I
SOLDO
off base?
requirements already?
Huh?
And
I am? Okay,
Yeah, because it's,
enlighten me, I'm okay.
the landscaping, number one, it's gonna be against the township rifle range. It's gonna be on that side, because the other side's got the building.
Right,
And in the back, there's nothing.
agreed.
So the only, yeah, at the moment, you're correct. Their property goes back further.
That's all right.
And the only buffering then would be between the parking area and that front edge. And from a loss prevention, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but they're going to want to be able to see that, plus people will be able to see in there to see what merchandise they have available. I think more visibility in that instance
I
is
don't know of
better.
a 16-foot fence in this township.
The 16-foot fence. I know the newer one they do for the outside where the garden area is, things like that. That's always a high fence.
Rose Produce Junction?
Landscaping, stone, things like that.
Be corrected, I'm
No, no,
fine.
it's-
I
if
asked,
you're
and
not
I'm
familiar
okay.
with- Yeah, I've seen it a bunch.
I don't ask, I'm not gonna know,
That's fine.
because when someone goes by and says, hey, how did that happen? I go, well, I got my answer. I'm good.
Okay,
No, good, no problem, I'm good, thank you.
all right.
I have a question from a commissioner, or comment. The fence around the detention pond.
Yes.
I mean, I prefer an aesthetically pleasing fence that fits in with the area. I mean, if you drive up MacArthur Road, you see the galvanized fence, and that catches your eye in one way, and then you see a nicer fence that's painted or black. I think we're a first-class township. I don't think we should set the bar down here on how we develop properties, especially when they're spending millions and millions of dollars. Also, we can't dictate on how the building looks, but I hope we're getting a nicer facade, because that's a high-profile area, and that we're not just getting a box store, but that's my opinion, and I'm just offering my 2 cents.
Okay.
Okay. Are low? We get low.
Any other comments or questions? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Tia is a yes. Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Peligian?
Yes.
Commissioner Scarfaro? Commissioner Fox? And President Sloniker.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for being patient.
I hope we get some good rabbit food up there. I need to feed the groundhog something, don't I? Okay, motion to approve the release of escrow for completed and withdrawn projects per Deputy Mayor Myers memo, August 15, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Scarfaro.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Pelagian.
Any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the floor? Okay, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Scarfaro? Yes. Commissioner Peligian?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Snyder? Yes. Commissioner Atiya is a yes. Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
President Sloniker?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Motion to designate Friday, October 25th, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. as the official trick-or-treat night in Whitehall Township with a rain date of Saturday, October the 26th, 2024. Now, this is a biggie, boys and girls. Let's get what we got. We have a question from the floor. But first, do we have any questions
Well,
up here from the board?
I'll go
Because we
on.
always have
I
somebody
do.
who wants to comment on
I
trick-or-treat
thought about
night.
voting no on this, but I thought, how would it read if I vote no against trick-or-treating? I thought if I vote present, that would create another controversy in itself. But, trick-or-treat is held Friday night, same night as a football game. A lot of people think the football game is a community event where people gather. And I don't think kids should choose. I think it's time for the adults to choose whether they turn on their lights or not. But I think we have mixed use of parents with siblings. I mean, I hear it because I had 3 kids go through the school district recently where they say they don't like to have to choose which parent is taking their kid trick-or-treating. And then we have Halloween Scrooges who says only kids from Whitehall. Well, my kids go to Northampton because they can do trick-or-treat night in Whitehall. I hope they don't have Halloween Scrooges over there. But so hopefully next year, the school district and the township could work to find a better solution. And to say, well, Sunday night's a school night, well, we have the tree lighting on a school night, we have the Halloween parade on a school night, and let's consider having Halloween parade on the night of a football game and see how many bands show up. So I'm sorry if I sound a little.
My only comment is, I hope it rains so
that
that
we
we
can
have
have it
the
on
rain
Saturday.
date and they can play football.
No, and I appreciate everybody's effort on this. It's just, I'm speaking for the people that
It makes sense.
have a conflict.
Any other comments by the board? Any
I'm kidding.
Oh, you had your hand up. You gotta get up and tell us that we're gonna get milk duds or something.
Yeah. Dennis Howard, 4866 Heidi Court. It's tradition. Trick or treat night is on Friday night. It's been that way since I was a little boy in Fullerton. I was this tall back then. Friday night. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you have a beard that back then?
I did have a beard, yeah.
He went as a pirate. All right, any other comment by the floor? Okay, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Did we get a first and a second?
No, no.
What?
We never got a first and a second.
Oh, we didn't?
No?
Oh, okay, well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought we did.
Yeah, let Jeff make the motion.
Go ahead, show me your touch.
Okay, I'll make the motion
You can
to
still
have it
vote
on
against.
Saturday night.
Do we have a second? Okay, now, can you poll the board?
Commissioner Warren. Commissioner Scarfaro.
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Pelagian. Commissioner Atias, a yes. Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
And President Sloniker.
Ooh, yes.
Biggest decision we had all night.
Okay, reports of public officials, Board of Commissioners, we'll start with Mr. Snyder.
Okay, yeah. So the last, I wish the people that left would actually still be here, to be honest with you. The last 2-3 weeks, our township has been in the newspaper, it's been on TV, and it's also been on the Philadelphia news, okay? And I decided tonight, what I'd like to talk about is the high road, because you're not gonna see this in the news, and I sat down and made a couple notes. Number one, in our recreation, we had a great year in our pools, people used them. The West Caddy floor is finally in, it looks nice and shiny in a I call it the senior citizen location. Camp Whitehall had a nice successful year. They worked with the EAC who left and did some things for our kids. The concerts brought close to 4,000 to 5,000 residents out. It was never tried before. And we had a public recreation director who tried and it worked out really good. I took a ride and didn't get lost on our trails on Sunday, and the trails look pretty decent. There's new benches going out. The police department, people say about our police department, I got a police report. They gave out 200 tickets last month, which is kind of like, okay. But here's the other thing. They gave out 400 warnings. So they could have really kind of ticked off 400 additional people, but they took the high road and kind of explained things to them and gave them warnings. They also handled 59 criminal situations that occurred within our township. The other thing, we have 4 brand-new officers in training. It took us a long time to get to that, but we have 4 brand-new officers in training. Fire department, I talked to Mark. I go to Subway for lunch all the time. He stopped in, and I say, hey, how's it going? It's great. During the month of October, our fire department's going to make over 30 visits to either daycares, elementary schools, and fire protection that's going to be going on in the township. And it's all hands on deck for those guys to do that. We got 15 new guys that came, not 15 new guys, we got 15 people that came back after the mayor worked in that situation. I mean, that's positive. You're not going to see that anywhere. We got 4 or 5 new firefighters that we didn't have before, so that's an improvement where we're at. The administrative staff and the planning and the development, as much as Jeff and I go toe-to-toe and things up here, we sat in a back room in there with the solicitor, and we're working on it together on a camera policy. No one shot anybody. It worked out well. We seem to be on the same page as doing that, so we do work together. We also differ from time to time, and that's fine. Our garbage bid was a big discussion tonight. I know how much time I've taken for Jack to answer the questions and gathered all the information so I can make a positive answer on how that's gonna go. The other thing that happened is our old police station is finally gonna be under contract and gone. The tax office, in my opinion, is the mayor's situation to deal with that. I don't like what's going on. I don't like the whole issue, but I'm not privy to the details right down at the bottom, so I'm not gonna make any comments on that per se. We're working on a sign ordinance. There's a sign problem in the township. Lee and the zoning officer and Chris and I sometimes go toe-to-toe on regulations, but we're sitting down and we're working on a good policy that could be fair to both parties. I think between us, we have almost 8 hours of meetings to try to get that done, and we've talked to Roberta. We know how hard, Alberta, I did it again. Okay, Alberta, Ally, kick me in the chair. I talked to Ally about how hard this is to do. We're working our way through that. The budget's coming up. We're gonna all work together in solving that problem. The thing to keep in mind, the public ordinances guys did a whole pile of things that, you know, you don't know it, but the streets are being taken care of. So while all this riffraff is going on and you read this thing on Facebook, they're either half-truths or whatever, the township is still moving forward in a positive arrangement. I'm probably not gonna see this in the newspaper tomorrow. I'm probably not gonna see it on FMZ or wherever it's gonna be. But I gotta tell you that it's tough sitting up here, and yes, you know, you want us to say certain things, and our hands are tied. And let me tell you, I would love to say a lot of different things, but I'm not in a position to do that. But when I look at the township and I say, what do we have to offer that other people don't? We have a lot to offer in here. And there's a choice, and the choice really comes down to this. If you don't really like living here, you do have the option for whatever you think to do. Or you can join a committee and try to figure ways out, or at least get the facts. Anything I hate is when I read things and see half the facts, because people make the decisions on half the facts. And if you watched the news over the weekend, there was a whole commentary on Sunday morning about the conditions of the politics in our country. And we're not much different, even in this local level, see what's going on. But I'm doing my damnedest to try to figure out a way to move this thing forward. We talk about the treasurer's office and what he can or cannot do. Roberta and Alberta, damn, hit me, kick me. Ally. Okay. Ally.
3 strikes, we're going at it.
One more time you throw me out. Ally.
You want a bottle of water to throw at him?
We talked about, I don't know why I do that, but I do it. Ally, Jack and I talked about, you know, how we can improve our charter. There was a possibility of looking at a commission to work on that. It would take us a year to do that. I'd be more than happy to engage with you to figure out how we could solve some of the issues, and Jack has some things on that. And I just think that up here and with the mayor and the whole administration that works in the township, we keep moving in a positive manner and don't worry about the other stuff that's going on. And that's the position I got tonight. That's all I have to say.
Commissioner Fox?
Much. I'd like to say, like what Ken said, everything's going great. I like everything, you know, we're moving forward. And thank you for all coming out and giving your opinions and talking.
Commissioner Paligian?
I have a couple of items. Number one, I attended the EAC meeting last month. There was no IRT meeting, and the Rec Commission meeting was canceled also, so I only had to attend one meeting. I'd like to thank Jack Myers for providing the cost breakdown for the pavilion. If anybody in the township wants to know the meticulous work that is done, every item is discussed in there. The one question I had was, in your email, you indicated that, and I want to make sure I'm quoting it correctly, I just have the question for you. Spilled coffee all over everything. You said that the only added costs were $6,750 in engineering costs to design the project. Was that beyond what was anticipated, or?
No.
No. Okay, so there was actually more cost,
Yes.
but yeah, okay. I just wasn't sure, it wasn't quite clarified on that. So if anybody's interested, I know you indicated that you had done this, you had put this all together with the new software that you have. And obviously, it's well worked out. There's no doubt about that. You guys are doing a good job on that. The other comment is that we need to remember that 9/11 is, the anniversary of 9/11 is coming up, and I hope everybody will take a pause on the 11th and think about everybody who perished in that terrorist attack. It hits home to me, so I just hope that you all take a moment on that day. That's all I have.
Commissioner Alphonse?
Well, Commissioner Roberta would like to concur with Ken Snyder, and thank you for sharing. I agree with his sentiments, and he gave us a nice lengthy list. Alberta would like to thank everybody for being here, and while we all may not agree on everything, but it's nice that we have community participation. And Ally would like to just report that Alphonse is wrong.
I'm sorry.
But we do thank you guys for being out here, and it is a lot, and sometimes we are unsure of the unknown, and, just like the garbage, but we appreciate everybody being out here and asking the questions. I think that's important to get the facts. So, thank you, and thank you to my fellow commissioners, the mayor and the tax collector. Everybody has a job to do, and I think we all want what's best for Whitehall at the end of the day. That's it.
Commissioner Warren?
I'd like to lament the remarks from my fellow commissioners. No sense in for me restating the obvious of the good things that are happening in Whitehall. I do want to thank everybody that was involved with the pavilion project. It was a concept that started sometime late 2019. A lot of grant work, a lot of engineering work that involved it. And it was used, the bathrooms were used heavily during the 5 concerts that we have. And it sounds like we're doing the final finishing touches on it so that the concession area will be able to be utilized for the Haunted Parkway folks, which is one of the reasons why it was built. So I thank everybody for that. And ending on Dick Farringer, I didn't know him very well personally. I know he was a commissioner here a long time. He was on the Whitehall Authority, he was active on many boards. And I think what I've learned from others that Mr. Farringer was involved with, he was one of the few folks that were instrumental in saving the Whitehall Parkway. There was a time where that was to be the regional landfill for Lehigh County. That was decided by the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. They looked at a number of sites, and our sites ranked the highest. And so they came up with a concept a means to find some capital to buy the land, to prevent it from becoming a landfill, and it circulated around preserving the environmental, like our water supply. So I just want to mention that because that was something that he was instrumental that I think future generations will be benefit from. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Tia?
Yeah, my notes are kind of scattered here, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of different things. First, I'm not an Eagles fan, but I thought it was pretty awesome watching one of Whitehall's own, Saquon Barkley, the other night, 3 touchdowns, and just had an awesome night. So I thought that was pretty cool for the township of Whitehall. A lot of Eagle fans. I'm not an Eagles fan, but again, it was just nice to see one of Whitehall's kids shine. So that was pretty cool. I want to thank the mayor for recognizing Suicide Prevention Month. That holds a dear spot to me. I lost a really close friend a few years ago. So again, I just want to thank the mayor for recognizing that. Parks and Rec, Ken touched on a lot of it, so I'm going to just skip through. But again, I want to congratulate our Parks and Rec department and the township on a really awesome summer. I mean, you heard about the concert series. The pool was great from what I heard, really good reports there. I mean, it's really difficult running a public pool these days. There's a lot of challenges with, lifeguards and staffing and just all of that, and they've done a really nice job over there. So I want to give Brandon, our rec director, some credit there. I did touch base with Sheldon as the liaison with Public Works. He's doing a great job as well with that group. He said that they were pretty much wrapping up some of the streets that they still had left on their schedule, and any leftover time that they would have after that, they would be hitting some of the alleys in the township that needed some support. So they're doing a really nice job there. What else did I want to touch on? The only other thing I was just going to say, it's similar, we heard a little bit of it tonight, was just, I think it's great that we get the participation that we do. I know sometimes people come up and, they may be rehashing some things that already came up, or sometimes people lose patience in these meetings, but just to continue to try to have some humility, some respect for those that are coming up here, as well as those that are sitting up here as well. I think, I've talked about that before. I just want to continue to reiterate that. There's a lot of hard work that goes into what happens to run a township, and the taxpayers also absolutely deserve the right to come up here and state their, their opinion on things as well. So let's just continue to try to work together to solve some of the hurdles that do come up in the township. But that's all I got. Thank you.
And finally, the president of the board, okay, I'll go. Bringing up Richard Farringer, I was a treasurer when he was serving as the president of the board. And just basically, it's like a rehashment of what Commissioner Attia just said, that you have times where things are positive, things are negative. The whole idea for all of us being up here, at times it seems like we're fighting and whatnot, sometimes we are, but we're trying to do our best to provide the community with what we think is the best. That's why there's an odd number here, that there's 7 of us and there might be 4 people for this and 3 people against that, or vice versa or whatnot. But we have to listen to each other, because there's good points that no matter what, you can't think of everything, no matter how good or bad you are. You can't think of all of the aspects of every position on what we're voting on. So the reason I bring that up with Richard is because I had disagreements with him, and all as I know is, I know he tried to do what I think we all do up here, and then try to provide the best of what we have to the community and go from there, so. Okay, treasurer's report.
I was hoping that I could announce this when more people were here, but this week, we're gonna have online bill pay. It's gonna be right on our website. It's gonna be garbage and real estate. So if we go with the installments for the garbage, it's gonna be a lot easier for people. There's gonna be a 3.5% for credit cards and a 0% for online payments through your bank. So they guarantee me the link is gonna be on the website this week. And anybody that needs to pay their real estate and garbage, we can do it. The school district hasn't gone on board with us yet with the per cap or the school real estate. So we're kind of one step ahead. And that's all I have.
Okay, mayor's report.
Okay, I have a long list. I want to thank Whitehall's Finance for being here. Deputy Chief Shambo, Chief Builder, and Dalton, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. On that note, I want to thank Chief Builder. He was successful in getting a $420,000 grant for air packs. That's going to go a long way. So kudos to you, Mark. Thank you. Dairy, I was down there today. 90%, I'm estimating, is demolished. It's going to be a flourishing redevelopment, back on the tax rolls, the blight, the homelessness, the dumping, you name it. It'll be gone. You know, potentially they could still dump there, but we're going to be diligent about keeping an eye on the place. I'm confident that it's going to be a vibrant redevelopment, and it's going to go a long way to help the township out in the future. Police bikes, I know some people aren't fans, but the police motorcycles have been deployed. Officer Nistel and Officer Kester went to the Philadelphia Police Driving School. Officer Nistel scored 100%. He got an award. I guess there's a deceased Philadelphia highway patrolman, and we should be very proud of him. He was truly impressive at that school, and they were truly impressed with his abilities. So we're blessed. It's going to help us curb some of these ATV, UTVs, the tragic accident we had at Mechanicsville Road. It's not going to stop it, but maybe it'll be a deterrent. And it'll give us the ability to get through traffic, north, south, east, west, faster, because larger patrol units can't get through traffic. MacArthur Road corridor's tight. There's a lot of streets that are tight. And it'll give us the ability to get to people faster in the event of a cardiac arrest, stroke, fire, rescue, shooting, you name it. Jefferson Playground, great news. Thanks to Senator Miller, we were successful getting an $80,000 grant. We picked out 2 pieces of playground equipment, 2 park benches, 2 picnic tables. So we're going to address some concerns down at Jefferson. I know the rec comprehensive plan is in the works, but it's going to take a number of years to get to the end run. This way, we'll give the children and the children in the southern corridor more alternatives. Copley Creek Restoration started today down near the hockey pool. It's a part of MS4. It's part of the program that we have to participate through the state, but we got grant funding. We have a contractor and an engineer on board, and they'll help with some of the restoration. West Caddy Senior Center. I don't know if anyone read, but Commissioner Dutt, County Commissioner Dutt, who was a prior Whitehall Township Commissioner, he wrote a really nice story about bipartisan people working together. Dennis is looking at me. Back in the day, Jeff was a Republican, Joe was a Democrat, but we worked together in a bipartisan fashion to get the Whitehall Township Active Life Center up and running. And I can proudly report that we have the new floor installed, the lighting's been upgraded, the electrical's been upgraded, we put it down a fresh coat of paint. I actually have curtains in my office that I'm gonna iron tomorrow morning to put on the windows. We're gonna do a freshen up on the outside of the building, the soffit area. We did the pre-engineering with Mr. Clark and Keystone. We're gonna put a handicapped accessible drive off the front entrance to the pavilion area. And we're gonna have a ramp installed so it'll be handicap accessible. I'm very proud of the accomplishments down there. It gives our seniors an alternate place to go, to socialize, to eat. Some people are fed there. And I'm really proud of that. And I'm proud of Commissioner Dutt for what he said, because we need to bring some civility back. It doesn't matter if we're D's, I's, or R's. It matters just being civil to each other and respectful. We can all work together for the greater good without tearing each other apart. It's unnecessary. I know there's been a lot of terrible things said the past couple weeks. I don't know. People create narratives, and if you believe everything you read on social media or in the newspaper or see on television, it's always one side of the story. Please let me speak. Fifth Street Bridge. My predecessor negotiated hard on behalf of Whitehall, and kudos to him. But PennDOT finally came out, and I know announced this last month. We're not going to get stuck with a maintenance contract. We're not going to get stuck with lighting. The only responsibility Whitehall Township's going to have for the new Fifth Street Bridge is snow removal. It's the best deal I could cut for us. The same thing happened on the new Cementon Bridge when that's going to be introduced. We're going to meet halfway. Northampton's going to take responsibility, and we're going to stagger years. In this case, because it's all Whitehall, we're going to remove the snow. But it's the best deal that we possibly could have got. We're going to get a brand new, federal highway bridge, and it's going to give us north-south access. It's going to give our emergency responders more alternatives. It's going to make that part of the township more walkable again, because it's a real burden for, people that don't have transportation to get around. It'll be an alternative route. I know some of the neighbors aren't going to be happy, but it was there before, and it's going to be there again. They lived with it before, they're going to have to live with it again. I know, it may be an inconvenience, but it's just something that I feel strongly, and I think a lot of people in this room feel strongly that we need. We were successful through Senator Miller and Representative McNeil to get a grant transferred from the foam trailer that the Whitehall Fire Department had requested. Chief was gracious enough, because we didn't have enough time, there were timelines involved, to sort of give it away. And working with Jeannie and Nick, they got us the ability to change, and Public Works is going to get a new seal coater to seal our cracks on our streets. Our existing one was purchased in the 80s, wear and tear, it's at the end of its useful life. But I want to credit Sheldon Chrisman, our Public Works Director, last minute, working with Jack. They got a price together. It happened on a Friday, and it had to be submitted by a Monday, and we were successful, and we're going to get the $70,000 grant to buy the seal coating machine, which is a wonderful thing. Other than that, that's really all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All right. All the fun is done. Jack. Yes, you will. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Good to be liked, Randy.
Hey, Tina.
Thank you.
I just, since nobody really acknowledged you with
one
praising
on-
anybody, thank you for everything that you try to do.
I mean, they're screwing around.
Well, my impression, I got the impression from them, they can't move forward on their project until they resolve the pet wash.
How are you?
Right, so. The pet wash is a zoning issue, because they're saying it's a detached building, and it's not 20 feet away.
It's a zoning issue, that's what I know. You can't resolve the zoning issue.
That's what he told me when I met him.
But we're not like.
The zoning officer has identified zoning